time. Patience, my brethren.
The Great One is all-seeing. All praise to the Great One.
I mean, as I'll say every week, they're not talking about me, certainly not. You're welcome to our fun, frank, and feisty Doctor Who news and reaction show with a panel of exclusively fresh-faced under-35s. RTD's chosen ones, not me. So I have assembled my own children of time, so to speak. Call me Davros if you like. So we're getting insight into whether RTD's strategy is working. And he is pleasing, capturing and winning over the younger generation. Remember, that's his last kind of defense. So that's the kind of unique element of the show. You've already heard my views, forthright, and on 2 reviews already. Our Saturday 11 p.m. Who Night, first impressions and reaction show. And you may have also heard us when we judged it forensically with our ratings analysis and scores on the doors, so to speak, on Sunday night. So tonight it's different, as you know, because they're all under 35. I call them Russell's children of time because I'm full of sarcasm. But he has argued it, hasn't he? That Doctor Who is the top drama for under 35s. And therefore, you know, it's all about them. So that's the reason I've done this, as you may know. So shall we get them on? Let's get talking. That's the best way of doing this. I don't count almost here. Sonny, good to see you again.
Yes, Captain Sonny Waffles back, age 26, here to tell some more truth about Doctor Who.
He's 26, I'm 56. I mean, thanks, Sonny. That really makes me feel... Yeah, you're verified. You're allowed to stay. You're children of time. Scott, good to see you.
Hi, yeah, I'm Scott, and I'm probably one of the youngest here, and I'm 20.
You see, this is it. I mean, I could be his granddad at this rate.
Hi.
Yeah, cheers for that. Ryan, good to see you.
Good morning, Vietnam. My name is Ryan, and I'm 31 years old.
Oh, you oldie.
I know I feel old.
And then Sean, who is, look how fresh-faced he is in that logo.
Yep, I also asked them to draw me fewer chins as well, which is always a bonus. I'm Sean, I'm 33, and I'm a Doctorholic. I've been watching Doctor Who since 2005, and it's starting to take its toll on me, so I'm here to detox.
There you go. So they're the children of time. I think they're all verified. They're allowed to stay. Cinnamon is here, but as you all know, all of us who love Cinnamon a lot, he will come and go with the Wi-Fi, but he'll be on in a moment, I'm sure. And he's in his early 20s too. Okay, then, let's get on with this. We're not starting straight into looks. We're starting into the thing that every blooming Doctor Who fan's talking about. Ryan, are you one of those younger generation who's pleased about what you hear about the ratings, or are you gutted about what you hear about the ratings?
Well, as far as ratings go, they do always try. Like every time we talk about ratings, somebody like Russell always comes out and goes, "Oh no, it doesn't matter. The ratings are fine. That's normal and all of that sort of thing." But if we can just compare it to the likes of Wallace and Gromit at Christmas or many other TV shows, it very much does matter. And Doctor Who has taken a hell of a hit, even between episode 1 of this series and now Lux. I think it's lost, 25% since last week?
Yes, I worked out 23%, yes.
Yeah, so they can say what they want about the ratings, but it's not good.
Now, what I'll do as I bring Scott in and get his opinion is we got a bit more detail today, though, and people like us to be fair. The overnights were the overnights, but now we've got the 7 days on Robot Revolution. And so Robot Revolution... as you know, only got 2 million, but it's now got 3.57 million. And so if I showed you on the big screen, basically that compares just slightly unfavorably to last year's episode 1. Last year's episode 1 got 2.6 overnight and then got 3.71. Shall I just say that again, really, for everybody? Space Babies has outperformed Robot Revolution on the 7 days. And massively did on the overnights. Does that surprise you or not, Scott?
Obviously, when I first watched Space Babies, obviously I was like, okay, I'll give this a go. Then I was like, it's alright. Then obviously I was like, oh, I'll have to watch it again and again. I think I watched like probably all together 3 times. I think watched the day after. I was like, okay. Then obviously when I was rewatching it, then to obviously get up to date with this season, I was like, yeah, I don't like this. Then obviously when I watched the Rebel Revolution, I was like, this is a way better story than Space Babies. Then obviously looked at the viewing figures. I was like, yeah, I ain't surprised. The Rebel Revolution has got a lot more, obviously, when it came out than Space Babies. And I think it's because, obviously, this season has dropped at 8 a.m. and obviously the previous season's end dropped at midnight. And obviously, loads of people go to sleep before midnight and loads of people wake up like just before 8 o'clock Saturday morning. And obviously, same as I did, I woke up just, I think, probably like 6, 7 o'clock. And I was like, okay, 8 o'clock, bang on Doctor Who.
Now, like you said, you're 20. I don't understand what 20 even feels like anymore. But this is the point of this show. So I am going to give everybody airplay. I'm just telling the threads because some of them are old like me. So, Scott, what I'm interested in is this. If you thought Robot Revolution was much better than Space Babies, yeah, despite the ratings, then how did you receive the news that actually Lux only got 1.58 million overnights?
Obviously, when I saw the ratings, I was a bit disappointed. I was like, I preferred Lux than Space Babies and Robot Revolution altogether. I think it's because obviously I was there, well, not literally there, but like obviously when they filmed the Dynasty, and obviously I was there, and I also said to some other mates, that's probably going to be the best episode in my opinion because I was there. And obviously when it came up, I was like, yeah, this is brilliant. And obviously Mr. Ringading, obviously played by Alan Cumming, I still have that song stuck in my head since. I've been trying to get it out of my head. I was like, it keeps going in and going. I was like, oh, why does it keep going on? And I think it was more well paced than Space Babies because it was like you did that, then it was the obviously the Doctor inside Doctor. People still get confused when I say that, and I think it all went together really good. It did.
So, Sonny, you've been nodded. This is it. Are people in the thread looking at this going, I know what I've said about Lux, and I know what I've said about Robot Revolution, and I know I normally do my ratings analysis shows, and I listen to somebody like Scott talking about this, and I'm on a different planet. And Sonny is nodding his head
because he's right. Look, the ratings makes perfect sense for me. Space Babies was creative. I haven't watched it, but the Boogeyman is a creative villain, right? That's what RTD wants us to believe. So it makes sense. And I mean, that's just the ratings tell you what was good before. It tells you how many people they captured prior to come watch this episode, not necessarily how good the current episode is. So Lux can't do better than the season opener because honestly, the Robot Revolution just wasn't it for me. Like, I can't believe you guys like that more than like Lux, period. Like, it was so disorienting, and I can't rewatch that episode. I rewatched Lux.
I mean, obviously you're on our whole night with us, but you know that when we judged it on Sunday night, Sonny, that the issue was a lot of fans go up to 20, 22 minutes. It was a certain type of program which you could buy into. It looked Doctor Who-ish. We'll go into all that later. And so when you're judging it, it's very hard because are you judging the first 20 minutes or what happened later? But when you see it as the whole, it's very hard. I mean, as a younger generation, are you enjoying, honestly, I know we'll go into Lux in detail later, but are you enjoying this experimental, different way of doing Doctor Who?
Yes, because this is my first time going through the meta stuff. I didn't watch season 1. It's fresh for me. It's interesting. I know it's the forefront of the plot. It's already a dead series in my opinion anyway. So like when people keep saying like when you go meta it's dying, I'm like, it was dead a long time ago. So now it's interesting to me. So when it ends, it's going to be over, and that's fine. It should have been over anyway. So it makes perfect sense.
Well, let me just say, people have conceded the thread. Cinnamon, bless him, has conceded defeat on his Wi-Fi, but he was dying to talk about this. So, I appreciate his text. I will say I loved Lux. It had flaws, but I was able to sit there and enjoy the story for what it was. I felt that although I went back to my childhood for a little bit, but that's just one serious option. But he was dying to, because he knew he could make it spiky tonight because he would disagree with me. And that's exactly what we need, because I am the dinosaur. Stephen, join me on the dinosaur step. Now, Sean, those ratings, are you jumping for joy? Do you understand what's going on here? Because you're one of the younger generation. I mean, can you, why, is it engaging you?
No. I mean, the thing is with the ratings is no one's jumping for joy. I mean, the people who are still enjoying it, they'll use any kind of reasoning in their heads to think about why it's so low. I've had this discussion on X with people who I respect, and they're like, "Oh, lots of people are watching it in the morning." They're not. How low does it have to get until people realize that as Sonny said a minute ago, it's dead? But it's just boring. Like, I think the sad fact is that I think this season is a slight improvement. It's an improvement over the last series, but nobody cares because they watched the last series, or at least parts of it. So it was just, I haven't rewatched it. I watched it once and that was enough for me.
Okay.
And it was just poor. It was just, I mean,
watch it.
Sorry, yeah. I will say I've watched it 3 times now. So I'm quite an expert on Lux.
You're sick.
But we've got 2 episodes we're talking about here with the ratings. One is that when you do compare, I mean, if you look at this, I mean, Ryan, does this shock you? I know you started on the chat tonight, but when I've thrown in the loop that the 2 million overnight for Robot Revolution, they added 1.57, but that it's better than last year, as in Space Baby started at 2.6 and added 111,000. This year, they've accumulated more later in the 7 days, but actually it's still 140,000 less than Space Babies.
Well, I don't find it surprising at all, simply because, even though Space Babies is atrociously bad, I hate it with a passion. At the end of the day, it still was Shurigatwa's first opening episode really properly on his own. It wasn't like a Christmas special, or it was like, okay, this is season 1, episode 1. It's going to pull in those bits slightly bigger. I say bigger numbers, it's still very low numbers, but I always think like a new Doctor first episode is always going to get more. I think that's just inherent with what we've seen in the past. There's always going to be a bit of a dip and then a rise up at the end, but I don't know. It's just gotten silly at this point. I've just gotten bored, quite frankly, of just talking about ratings all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's key. Some people tell us it's not key, but for one person, you always get somebody contrary. But what I always want to remind people is it's the trend. So in season 1, the overnights went from 2.6 to 2.25. So he lost there 300,000 people over a season, even with the climax. And on every measurement, the 7 days, the consolidated, the 28 days, he lost over a season. I mean, over a season on the 28 days, he lost 21% of the audience over a season. So it is something to keep an eye on, because we've all been discussing whether Doctor Who can last as a program. I'll just show everybody before I bring Sean in the second time. I just want to show you what does this mean? So, for example, the top show last week on any channel was The Apprentice. Now, I think that was the final, and that got 5.3 accumulated. Then you've got Britain's Got Talent, Grace, a few game shows, Coronation Street there. Doctor Who's not in the top 6. Is it in the top 12, 13? No. Mm-hmm. You've got Coronation Street, Have I Got News for You, Gladiators final, Emmerdale. And then we eventually get Doctor Who at number 21. So it's been beaten On the accumulated as well, the 7 days by Antiques Roadshow, by nearly every EastEnders, by nearly every Emmerdale, by nearly every Coronation Street, by Gladiators, a few other game shows, and The Apprentice. Now, when you see that, lads, come on. Are you buying into the fact that Doctor Who's doing all right? Or are you a soap opera without any marketing is beating it? Antiques Roadshow doesn't do heavy marketing with Disney, and that's beating it. Is this worrying, or as you say, Ryan, we shouldn't be talking about the ratings all the time?
Well, I think the fact of the matter is, whenever it comes to ratings, the show has been, theoretically, if we're just going off ratings alone, the show has theoretically been in the bin since Peter Capaldi, if we're just going off ratings. But I do agree with your point, though. The last 2 years, they have had mass Disney, PR and everything behind it, and that still hasn't pushed those numbers up. That's the key point I would make. There is all of that Disney money and PR behind it, and still it can't get over the line.
No. Now, Sean, you wanted to come in on this one, just while I show everybody on the big screen the figures. Sean?
Cheers. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, and I know it's our kind of our job, in a way, to talk about this, but we can't see the wood for the trees. If you have to talk about the ratings, your show's not in a good place. It just isn't. Because why would we be talking about this? We'd be talking about how good the episodes were, or what we liked, or what didn't quite work for us. All it seems to be about is how terminal these ratings seem. And every turn, when it's the lowest episode, there seems to be an excuse. The weather was nice. The grass looked comforting to go out and sit and touch.
Yeah.
There's always a reason. Oh, well, they've released at 8:00 in the morning. There's never a reason. There's Doctor Who back in the mid 2000s was up against far stiffer competition than it's up against now. Do you remember? And it used to absolutely do brilliantly on the ratings. Everyone was watching it. There's a tiny amount of people still watching it, but it's finished. I mean, when you look back at Chibnall and Whittaker's era, and those are figures that they would dream of getting now overnights. I mean, that just puts you in perspective of where the show is.
Well, you've got John Yulden here now, bring Sonny in. The figures were not outstanding during Capaldi, but the slide massively occurred Geordie onwards. The excuses all came then, especially when it was moved to Sundays at Chibnall's request. Now, I'm not going back over old history. I mean, I'm not challenging those ideas or those opinions. I'm just, but when you see that Doctor Who's in 21st place, so it's Doctor Who is in a dying television market. It's in the top 21 is what I would say. But what shocks me is, remember RTD was saying for the under 35s, you lot, it's the top drama. Well, it may be, but there's EastEnders, Emmerdale, and all the others above. And I thought EastEnders especially was trying to get the younger market. But is this anything we should be worrying about, Sonny, or ignoring?
I think ignoring it is not the play, because it's part of Doctor Who history. It does matter at the end of the day. It tells you where the show's going, the direction of things. But the only thing it really tells me as an American is that it's not even a flagship BBC title. There's a bunch of stuff above it. So why would they put a bunch of effort into it? And when Doctor Who's not doing good, they start sabotaging themselves behind the scenes. It's part of their history. So it doesn't surprise me at all. And that's why only fans are watching. It's a built-in 2 million people.
Yeah, well, before I move to the next item, I'm just going to say to Scott, here we go, Scott. I'm going to ask you this question. Did you watch The Apprentice?
Nope, I've never have.
Right.
No.
So let's just check this, everybody. All those old crusties here. So the 20-year-old didn't watch The Apprentice, but that was the top show for the BBC. Did you watch Britain's Got Talent?
Nope.
Okay. Grace?
Nope.
Beyond Paradise?
Nope.
The 1% Club?
Nope.
You see, he's not watching telly. So who are these people? Okay, Coronation Street's easy because there's a load of them. But Coronation Street?
Nope.
EastEnders?
Yeah.
Okay. Emmerdale?
Nope.
Gladiators?
Nope.
Have I got news for you?
Nope.
Antiques Roadshow.
No.
But you watch Doctor Who. So there you
Yeah.
go. So is RTD, Ryan, is RTD getting away with this argument that all he's saying is basically under 35s don't watch telly apart from Doctor Who? I mean,
to be honest with you, and this is me, but I don't watch anything on TV over like the only sort of thing I'll watch on the BBC now, or hold on, I don't. Yeah, it is probably just Doctor Who. Everything else is usually just classic Doctor Who or movies.
right. Well, okay then. So that was our Vox Pops. It's interesting, but I'm playing fair here. You know, a lot of us streamers, we look at Disney, we look at various countries to see, is Doctor Who landing? Now, what I could find is it was just scraping into the top 10 in Australia. There you go. I've got evidence. So, hallelujah. We can all move to Australia now. There you go.
Right.
There's the evidence.
They're starving in Australia. That's all I can say.
There you go. So maybe Australia's...
Get a bloody grip of yourselves, Australia.
It's sunny. Get outside. So, yeah. So there is me being fair there, as half Australian. I know I shock you. And Darren Grimes, who used to be on GB News, just shows you that all the time it can be open for ridicule. Doctor Who has suffered the biggest collapse in viewing figures in its entire history. I imagine those of us outside of the BBC's London bubble could tell them why their politicised pronoun time traveller is such a turn-off. Is he onto the right thing, or is he in part of his dig at Doctor Who missing what the flaw is in Doctor Who? I'm going to ask you all what you think the flaw is. I know you may love Doctor Who at the moment. I'm not asking you to say that, but why do you think it's not taken off with the whole public? That's what I'm asking you. He seems to think it's all the pronoun identity stuff. What do you reckon, Scott?
Also, when the Starbeast came and also when I said all the pronouns, I was like, okay, obviously I knew obviously Yasmin Finney is, I think she's trans, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she's trans, yeah. And obviously when they said obviously I think it was David, obviously 14 Doctor said, oh, your pronouns, and obviously the Meep said, I can't remember what the Meep said now. I was like, okay. I was like, obviously I didn't really expect that. Then also when I watched it back, it just goes over my head. It does. Obviously, there's new stuff being introduced pretty much every hour nowadays.
Does it bother? What's interesting is, as a 20-year-old, RTD thinks you like all this, and so I'm going to ask you live, because this is the point. Because I'm an old crusty, I'm a phobe, everything apparently, according to some of them idiots on there. So, in your case, did the pronoun debate bother you in Starbeast? Yes or no?
Can I go 50-50?
Go 50-50, because in the Starbeast, it had female presenting Time Lord is better than the male presenting Time Lord.
I did think when I said that, I was like, yeah, but the show's got like, if you go back from 1963 till obviously when Jodie came out in 2018, I was like, okay, there's a bit saying like, oh, all the others are rubbish, the women's good, better. I was like, okay, really? But obviously, if you look at obviously Colin Baker's era, that went downhill. Then obviously, if you look at Tom Baker's massive uphill, Dame 10's massive uphill, and obviously, I think Jodie's was like going down and down, and obviously, loads of the male ones did do better than obviously Jodie. I think because obviously she was the first woman doctor. Loads of people was like, oh, okay, yeah, Doctor's rubbish now. She's a woman.
Well, can I ask you, because as a 20-year-old, speak for yourself here, were you pleased when they picked a female to play the Doctor?
I was very surprised. I was when they said, because obviously all my family were watching it at the exact same time. Obviously, saw the hand out going like that. I was like, okay, who's that hand? Then obviously Mum said, yeah, that's a woman. I was like, you what? She's like, you said, yeah, that's a woman. I was like, no, it ain't. Obviously when I showed obviously how I was like, okay, who's that? Then I was very surprised at that. But obviously when she started, I did get good with her. I did. It was
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's just so we understand, okay? It's just so we understand. Editorial, he says, Brendan had a segment called What Would Shooty Do? I think there should be a segment of What Would Verity Do? If it says, do you know what? It's a great idea. And I have thought that when I'm doing the New Who reviews, I can't say What Would Shooty Do? I have thought about what would the classic Doctor do or something like that. But thanks for giving us a tip there. I appreciate that. Okay, then. There's more controversy coming. This is just the starter. So here we go. Our first item, of course, is what the F. And of course, I do say the F. Ryan likes to help me fill in the blanks, but we'll have a go. Okay, what the F. So the first what the F, so to speak. This is when I ask the under 35s, not me leading. Simon Anthony's checking, I know, in the thread where I'm leading you all. Whether you thought something was awesome in the Lux episode or tragic, disastrous. What the F could go either way. So, Sonny.
What the F? I liked the Ring-a-Ding song and like the music in general because it did stick with me. And that joke where he went, hey, when they introduced themselves, he's like, I'm the doctor. What's your name? He just started up the song again and he was like, cut, whatever. I laughed both times. And that's the only time I laughed in the 3 episodes I've watched of Doctor Who. So
do you want I'm going to ask supplementaries tonight, but I'm not leading. I'm asking, which is from the answer you've just given, do you want Doctor Who to make you laugh?
Sometimes, yeah, I like to laugh, but like that's not my number one priority. That's not the first thing on my list.
If I remind everybody, you like your Pertrees, your Troughtons, and everything.
Yeah.
So basically, in those, there might be a little cheeky moment. I mean,
Right.
I'm not a prude. Doctor Who might have a funny line here and there. K9 is it's a joke with his name, but it's just when I think RTD has this idea that it's light entertainment and it makes you laugh.
I can only list one thing. That's why it's under the what the F section because I'm so shocked. It's rarely there, right? And so when it is there, I'll highlight it. But yeah, I can count the moments on one hand.
Okay, Sean, your thoughts on what the F, something amazing or disastrous that you saw in Lux?
I'm sure we'll get into it a bit more, but I I really enjoyed it for like 30 minutes. I thought, it's the Doctor's actually acting like the Doctor. He dealt with the race question really, really Doctor-like, which I loved. He basically said, well, they'll let the people get there themselves. And I thought, okay, I'm with you. Belinda was a lot less of an absolute pain in the backside this week, and I actually thought she came across as quite likable. And then they pushed the screen out and stepped through the screen, and I thought, oh Jesus, what's this? And that's this series. That's this new era in a nutshell. Like you watch it, but you're all a little bit in the back of your mind, that little gremlin on your shoulders, waiting, going, "Don't worry, they'll let you down. Don't worry, there was some crap coming along. You wait for it. Are you sure there's 15 minutes? Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, yep. There you go. They've took the mick out of us. So, yeah, awful. I mean, that's the thing that they build you up. It's like supporting our football team. They build you up to knock you down, Brendan. It's the hope that kills you.
It's very Charlie.
Well, actually, as you know, the thumbnail tonight, and we will have an item when we actually truly talk about this. But I did ask whether RTD with Lux is baiting the fans or praising them. It could be a love letter, but I don't forget that. We will get to that, so don't worry, Sean. We will go into more detail with that one.
Do you know what a love letter would be? Do you know what a love letter to the fans would be? A decent series of Doctor Who. Yeah. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Oh, you're asking
a nice series for us.
Oh, you're very ambitious.
I know. I'm asking for. Yeah, because it's not American. I hate calling it.
I know, but that means a collection of episodes, all good. Oh my God, when was the last time that happened?
I know a professional writer getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds. Me expecting it to be decent. I know. I'm sorry. I expect too much. Sorry, I'll just sit here in silence and chastise myself.
Right, well, everybody be on tenterhooks. Lock your granny out the room because I'm going to ask Ryan what the F, and I haven't a clue what he's going to say.
No, no what? The way I'll refrain from swearing. Don't make me really honest. My thoughts were pretty much exactly the same. I was like, this is actually okay. This is actually not bad. And then that thing happens on my face, literally done this. I was like, what? I literally was, what the? And it felt like a total jump the shark moment, to be honest. That's what it felt like for me personally. Like, I was like, no, just no. I'm sure we'll get more into it later on, but yeah, I actually was enjoying it up to a point, and then they done that and just completely took me out of it.
Well, don't worry, you're right. We will talk more about that. Scott, this is our opening gambit. So remember, I'll just say it again. What the F? When you watched Lux, was an awesome moment, or more memorably, was some tragic moment? I don't know which way you're going to go. It's up to you.
When I watched the first time, I did laugh when it was the Scooby-Doo joke. And obviously I was a fan of Scooby-Doo, obviously when I was young. So I was like, I did get that reference quite a bit. So that made me quite laugh a bit. Obviously the Ring-a-Ding song that came on, then obviously the Doctor introduced himself. They find that funny. Then obviously the song started again. Then obviously when the Doctor meets the Doctor Who fans, well, I still get confused nowadays. Obviously when I can't remember the dialogue, but there was some dialogue
about Blink.
About Blink. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's quite good, funny. And then they said, "Are you ready? You said you had the 30-minute mark. Get back." I did pause at the moment. I was like, "Yeah, you're 30 minutes in." Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's quite a good joke." Then, obviously, when I was seeing, it was the I think they were just about to go back into the screen, kind of. It was the 11th Doctor's theme came on. I was like, "Yeah, that's quite good, actually." That is, I like that bit.
Okay, well, we're going to go into more detail. Don't you worry. But I'll just get. I mean, the thread are all kind of. I can see they're all going in different directions on this one, so it's going to be tasty tonight. But I'm actually going to start because obviously everybody's watched millions of streams on this, and I don't like being predictable, but I certainly want to make sure I'm giving you new content, everybody. You can see Ethan here has tweeted, "Is this the first time HIV has been mentioned in Doctor Who?" Now, I'm not asking you to answer that question because that's not the question that's pertinent to me. The question pertinent to me, and I've got under 35s here, is this the first time in Doctor Who an STI has been mentioned in Doctor Who? And should it be? This is a children and family show. Why does RTD seem to think we should be mentioning sexually transmitted diseases in Doctor Who when we should be just having escapism? That's the position I'm coming from, because I don't think it should be. And because the other issue is Rock Hudson is a top Hollywood star, and to say make a reference to HIV for him, well, unfortunately, he died of AIDS, but that's not what he should be remembered for. He should be remembered for all the great movies he made, and it's so reductive. That's my 56-year-old opinion, but it's your show. Ryan, do you think this is off point, that RTD should be making sexual references and STI references in Doctor Who?
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't even know who they were talking about, if I'm being really honest. So now I know what they're talking about because you've just mentioned it. But yeah, I know I didn't know who that was.
But you sat there with your kids, right, watching Doctor Who, and it mentions STIs.
Oh yeah, no, that's like here we go. Here's me not getting ever employed by the BBC ever again. Russell T Davies is a massive perv. Stop putting it. Stop talking so openly how much you fancy your actors. Stop talking so, like last week he mentioned sperm for the first time in Doctor Who. This week it's STDs. This is meant to be a family kids show. Stop doing things like that. Here we go.
Yeah. but maybe this is Ryan because he's in his 30s now, and he's getting older. No, I'm joking. Sonny, honestly, imagine having your own kids watching Doctor Who. Is this out of order, or am I being a prude?
I missed it twice on review, so that just shows how bad the writing and the dialogue is and the setup of the episode really was, because I actually did miss it twice and I only knew because of this. But like, I don't, if my kid brought it up, like, or if my kid was watching this, I would just tell them the truth about it and be like, yeah, that's what happens when you go around and have sex with people for fun when it's not for that. So like, I can take it as a learning experience for that, but it takes away from the episode. It's not helping the plot. It doesn't matter to the plot. So overall, no, it shouldn't be in here. It doesn't help anything.
I mean, this is part of the point of this show, is to just see whether I'm on the same page as the rest of the planet. Now, Sean, coming in now, Sean, I want to ask you, just as I've finished this thread piece here from Simon, who normally, as you know, the contrarian, will join us on the Who Night. Belinda said how sad it was that we knew what happened to him. That was not a derogatory statement. My issue, Sean, is the mention of this at all.
I've not had the pleasure of doing a stream with the Contrarian. I look forward to it if I ever get the chance. I think we're overreacting, but I'll explain why I think we're overreacting. I actually disagree with the majority of the panel on this one. I think the show used to do references about social issues. I don't think this is an over-the-top reference. I don't think it's massively inappropriate to have in. I mean, it could. So I think we're just that used to having things like this messaging sledgehammered over our head that when a little one comes in like this, we're like, oh, look, there's one. And I think, it didn't bother me as such. It didn't feel as if they crowbarred it in, to be honest. And I kind of get when you start to think about it, are people overthinking it? Possibly. I genuinely think like it didn't stick out. And yeah,
okay, well,
it's...
Well, don't worry. We'll get spicy now. The thread wants us to get spicy. Ryan, you want to come straight back in?
I was just going to say, you know what? Now that you've said that, I completely agree with you. I completely agree, actually. And as I said, this particular reference completely went over my head because I'm not familiar with the actor. So
the reason is,
I do completely agree. Maybe we are looking at every single little thing with a magnifying glass because we have been nailed over the head with this for the past 5 years.
However, Ryan, we've been educated like this. I said a week ago, the Savages has a trigger warning. Talons of when Cheyenne, has problematic content. We're given trigger warnings about 60s and 70s shows, which means somebody, sadly, is sat in some cupboard and checking every comma of the old scripts. So why can't we do that with RTD's scripts? Because as I come to Scott, I'll show you this quotation from RTD. I've slaved over every word, and I've sat there at 2 a.m. deciding whether a sentence begins and or but or yet. So Scott, he is very careful what he puts in. Last week he had sperm and an egg, and this week he decides he's going to do this. Should it have a trigger warning?
Obviously, when these, obviously what Ryan said, obviously about the sperm and the egg, obviously in the Robot Revolution, I was a bit disgusted by that. I was like, if like 15, 16, or probably a bit less than that, if they're watching that, if they're seeing, like, obviously if that came on, they'd be like asking the parents like, oh, what's this? Then imagine parents explaining that to like under 16 kid, they'd be like, what the beep 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 beep. Then obviously when the HIV came on, obviously was the famous celeb who died of, well, without it's like, obviously I like the band, obviously Freddie Mercury. He's well probably one of the famous one of the famous musicians who's died of AIDS. And if they did obviously a episode with Queen and obviously his last 3 days, I wouldn't mind that being mentioned with HIV, because obviously he's a massive artist, Freddie Mercury is. But obviously they did, when they mentioned obviously Rock Hudson, I didn't know who he was at first. I was like, okay, who's that? No, I still don't.
Exactly. It's like, why didn't they
Yeah.
play one of his movies then or something?
Exactly,
Like,
yeah.
if they really cared, they don't. He doesn't. It's just
Now, Sean, who's obviously just sat behind the scenes there, but if they'd had a 5-minute discussion on Rock Hudson, the thing is, they were in a cinema house. They could have before
but then
Mr.
people would
Ring.
have. Yeah, but then people would have mourned. People would have mourned
Well,
if they'd have
why?
gone off.
Well,
on a
then he
discussion
shouldn't have
about
put
how
it in.
amazing I don't know. I do think we're overreacted. Genuinely, I think for once, I just like.
But Sean-
but the thing is, right? We're discussing
Yeah,
this
go on.
because we should be discussing how much we enjoyed the episode. We're only picking up all these lines because the show's crap and boring, and we're having to
Well,
nitpick things out. Like, why aren't we talking about what was good?
No, Sean,
There's
we are
no
going to
good.
mention the program. This is the intro, the F item, isn't it? So this is the spiky stuff. So what I'm saying is the British media, the American media happily will label programs from the 60s and 70s and 80s as problematic, troublesome content, tired attitudes. They'll love it. All I'm saying is, if you're going to sit down on Saturday night to show your kids and your family Doctor Who, do they need a warning nowadays? Because it's getting quite sexually graphic. And when I mean that, I'm not saying you've seen something amazing on a screen. I'm just saying, look, Doctor Who in the old days, we didn't have this. If you watched a Pertwee, you weren't going to have Doctor Who and the giant maggots, and then he suddenly mentions something about, the sexual reproductive this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, what's going on here? Are we giving him a free hit here? A free pass?
By just going like he's overreacting, I think that's giving it a free pass. I see the overreaction, but like it's warranted because the last season was crap, because everything leading up to this was crap. I thought the Robot Revolution was disgusting when he laughed about it, and that was part sexual. So like if there's sexual content, it doesn't even relate to the plot. If he really believed in his ideology, there would be a warning, just like he put on the classic stuff.
Right, so let's have a look, because the thread are lovely and I haven't brought them in. That's a disgrace. John Yulden, I disagree mentioning safe sex is one thing, but an off-the-cuff reference that was lazily contrived like this, you felt. Let's have a look. It's John Sweeney. The parents will have a PIN number on their remote to watch Doctor Who, and parents will be putting something else on instead. So there you go. And surely that's not going to help ratings if people suddenly think it's an unsafe show. Let's have a look. Julie's asking Ryan, but why did they put it in? What's the connection to the story? And it would have been a bit clever if Rock Hudson's movie was on in the background.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, I don't like it really was just, but yet again, I now know I'm only now learning this information while I'm on this live stream, because it completely went over my head. But now I know the context behind it. Yeah, it served nothing to the story. I completely agree.
Yeah, okay.
It
And that's what I mean. So
to be fair, I see that aspect. It could have been anybody, couldn't it? Because all they used it for, and it's a fictional, it never existed, the show. They only used it to show the letters falling off and the Harbinger. So they could have picked any actor they want. So not to undermine my previous argument, I stand by what I said, but I do get the fact that RTD picked that actor for, and Rock Hudson, I mean, I love cinema. I do a film podcast. Amazing actor. And I don't think they were reducing him down to just his death. But I do think, well, you picked him. So there was an intentional picking of him there. So I get what you mean. I'm in the middle.
The thing is, yeah, I mean, I forgot this actually, that I've got a younger generation here, and a lot of people haven't really seen or heard of Rock Hudson. So if this is the first intro to Rock Hudson, to mention HRV and nothing much else about the movies, I think is a mishit and unfair. And maybe RTD isn't being even mischievous. He's just being clumsy. He's forgotten that the younger generation don't know what the hell you're talking about. And therefore he should have laid a bit more in. Mad Mackham, no, it was just bloody shameful. Maybe it's a generational thing. He was a movie god. Mentioned bloody, not sorry. Tongue-tied Brendan. That's very unusual. Stephen Braddock, no, that's fine, but why include it in the first place? It didn't need to be there. And as you know, and like he said, problem being, good to see you, Lee. He says he slaved over that. Well, no, is that problematic language? Yeah, I know. He should have slaved over that quotation. So yes, I'm just mentioning to get your opinions on that one, but we've got more to do, so let's keep going. So what about the fans bit? The because what I want to ask you, there's a lot going on here. I mean, is meta better? is including Doctor Who fans as a fiction, then a reality, but then they're a fiction, but then in the credits they're alive again? Is there something else going on that I'm just missing? Do you love all this? Is it just me who thinks, can I just have an episode where the Doctor or the companion's in peril, or there's a monster coming down a corridor, and we just get on with that? Why do I have to have it's talking to me? Well, actually, I looked at those three and I thought, well, you've not represented me at all. I don't see me. Now, I'm looking at Scott. Scott has got the Sylvester McCoy jumper on. So I'll come to Scott first just for an easy hit. Scott, was he representing you? Was he reaching out to you through these fans?
Obviously, the bottom line says, obviously, I met my two best friends. I have met since probably, I think it's probably a year and a bit now. I've met loads of Doctor Who fans, and I've even became friends with them. Obviously, the one who said about the filming in Amsterdam, Doctor Who filming locations on Twitter. I've met him once, and he was a really nice man. Probably a few years older than me, actually. And he obviously just got mates with him. Then Alex Green, who's met pretty much all of the besides the first three because they're dead, and he's met pretty much all of the actors. And he not goes on sets, but like when they're filming, he watches them film. Watches them, and obviously when they were filming at Leominster, 10 minutes down the road from me.
So the question, Scott, is: do you want in your 43-minute episode? Do you want to see yourself and go, "Hey"? I mean, and did you see yourself in those three?
And if it's every episode, I would get a bit tired of it. But if it was like a one-off, I wouldn't mind like this one.
Did you like this moment? I know you've already mentioned it, but right, I'm going to really nail it down now to every one of you because I'm trying to understand. I hated this. Jamie came back from his parents and watched it. That's why I watched it the third time. Jamie was quietly there. I hadn't prepped him. I hadn't said, oh, there's going to be a dodgy bit. I wanted to check his face. Loved the episode. I think, it was very professionally done, well executed, brilliant direction. And then came this moment. And I think it was like Marmite. Now, did you really like this inclusion? It was 4 minutes, 34 seconds, Scott.
That's short. Wow. Yeah, I really did like it, yeah.
Short! It went on forever. It felt like agony.
I really did like it. Obviously, when they came, obviously pushed the glass, and I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? I did see, I think it was a leak before, a day or few days before, saying about to them there'd be 3 actors who will be playing Doctor Who fans. I was like, oh, that's probably a rumor in this, rumor that. Then obviously it came on. I was like, oh wow, it was actually true. Then obviously when they said, oh, we knew it was going to happen because all the rumors, and I have seen in the comments someone, Glenn Hines, he came in one of the comments. I did say like, oh, it's like he watched it and he really did like it as well. He did, the Doctor Who fans.
But is it right? I'm going to sound rude now, and then I'll bring all the others in who are listening. And please do a free for all because I'm controlling this too much. I don't like that really. So Scott, final question on this one. Is he just kind of working on you a lot that because it's included? You think, oh, isn't that great? Is it great? Does that help the story? And did you understand it? I don't understand why they're in. Are they dead or are they alive? What was the point of it? It shouldn't be just patting you fans on the head because you think you're in it. Why did he do it? How did that help the story?
I think it was because obviously obviously Lux put them into the show in like a projection show, and it's good how shows can be. I'll explain it. Obviously they can obviously Doctor Who's broke the fourth wall multiple times, and it's showing like other fans, obviously the three fans. It's breaking the fourth wall and eighth wall. It's like going into itself. If that makes sense, I don't know.
Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, because RTD has been telling us for a while, and if the other lads want to come flying in here, he says, I think it's part of the show going forward. Lots of shows break the fourth wall, and I like it. I think it's fun. Doctor Who should be everything, do anything, go everywhere. Now, I showed this quote before, but this second episode, we saw the fourth wall being pushed literally out. And I need to know from the U under 35s, was it problematic him doing it? And was it problematic to the plot? Because I don't know why it's in. I don't know whether the fans are alive or dead. I just don't get it.
He fumbled the ending, and that's why Scott had a hard time explaining what was good about it, and why he was dodging the question. I'm not trying to go at you, but you were dodging the question. You was like, it was so cool because you were that fan and you were going on the sets. I live in America. I'm not going out there to do all this stuff, right? So like, and it's cool for me because I was smart enough to skip bad Doctor Who when it was bad, and I only got back into it on season 16, which is really a season 2 that they're so like it doesn't even make sense for a casual person to jump in. They're like, that don't make sense. At least if it was season 16, they know like, oh, well, Doctor Who does this. Like they don't want to rewatch season 1 because it was bad. So the fourth wall stuff is gonna polarize people because like they know their show is dying. And if they're not accepting that, well, now they're just patting the 2 million fans on the back going like, thank you for watching us. Isn't this fun? And it's like, you're like, yeah, this is fun, but no one else is having fun.
Ryan, as you come in, I've got people mentioning Linda, which was in Love and Monsters. They had the Doctor Who fans then. And then, the great dialogue when every one of those three fans said Blink was their favourite episode, which I know is supposed to be funny. But why didn't they mention City of Death or Inferno or anything from classic?
I was disappointed that the guy wearing the Tom Baker scarf didn't mention Genesis, quite frankly, or King's Mandrazzani or something. Like, don't get me wrong, like Blink's very, very good, but like you've got a girl there wearing a Telos t-shirt and a guy wearing a Tom Baker scarf. Not even one mention of a classic episode.
Guys, are you really mad though? Are you mad about that, Ryan? Because you know he doesn't like classic Who anyway, so he just would have been crapping on it. This is funny. Now I'm coming to your defense, Scott. I like this scene. It was funny. A lot of it was hilarious because RTD was seething. He's so mad. It was funny.
I really
go talk to a therapist then. Don't put it on a Doctor Who episode.
No, I mean, but the episode's still under quality. It's still mid, but at least there's enjoyable bits.
I would prefer, I'm not going to be scared at 56, but I'd love the kids to be scared of Doctor Who, not laughing.
Yeah. Well, you're asking for good Doctor Who, and we know we can't get that.
Yeah, I'm asking for the Earth, I know. I mean,
did you say...
Sorry, Sean, as you come in, what was the point of the fans being in? Did it make sense to you as a narrative piece? Because they were alive. In the end, they were fiction. Then she pulls the frame down, which means they die. And he cried. And then at the end, they were alive again. What did that mean?
I was so close. I honestly thought, oh my God, I was getting excited. This is how excited you can get about Doctor Who now. Yeah. I was thinking, oh my God, we're going to get an episode without the tear flying down the face. But then you had this section. I don't know what the point of it was. It's very, very difficult to break the fourth wall and make it meta and then put that wall back. Red Dwarf, Back to Earth. I enjoyed it. It didn't work for everyone, but they did that. They did it in League of Gentlemen in, I think, the film. It's difficult to do. It's difficult to pull off. I don't know what the point of it was. I've only watched it once. I had no intention of watching the episode again. Even though, like I said, for half an hour, I really enjoyed it. Genuinely, really enjoyed it. That's what annoys me even more. Like, this was probably the best episode we've had in RTD's second run by a mile. Mm-hmm. And then halfway through, he decides to just stop it. And also, can I just point out, did anybody notice they had a poster for Playtime in the background? So I don't know what that says about the fans. I don't know what it says. I'm saying nothing. I'm not commenting. But, that's not a very supportive planet, is it, to have in the background? So, no, it was just, I don't know what it's there for. It felt kind of bitter
I know what
to me.
There for,
this is my truth. Sorry. It is, I think a lot of us, I think we could have most fandom agreed that for so many minutes of that episode, it was trundling in the right direction for Doctor Who. And as Sean just said, it was probably the best in RTD2's era. And I would almost go on that. I'm trying to think all the way back to Starbase, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, I think you're on the money. It seemed well made. The Australian director, she did some amazing shots. I loved the close-ups of the projector and all the rest. It set a mood, it set a vibe. They did a very convincing job that it was Miami and not where you went, Scott, for the location shoot. It was amazing. And all that bad weather you couldn't notice. What a brilliant job. Brilliant set. I applaud them. And it felt Doctor Who-ish. They were going in to investigate something. I know they joked it was Scooby-Doo. So listen, I've got to say this out loud because people sometimes think us dinosaurs are slagging off everything. No, we're not. Me and Jamie thought this for half the show.
Yes, you are.
Right. But then this happened. Now, may I just remind you, and then please come in, everybody. If you count, it was 4 minutes, 34 seconds of this self-indulgent fan thing. The story is 43 minutes long. For 10% of the episode, we had self-indulgent fan fiction. I mean, really?
You could have just used 4 minutes and actually wrote a decent finale where it's not over usual 2 minute style like Russell loves to do. Wrap everything up in a neat bow in like space of 2 minutes. But no, I agree. I think the first 30 minutes was actually really bloody good. I was really enjoying it. It set a vibe. It set a tone.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it. Now, I will say this, and this is now the sort of thing I'm a little bit worried about because we knew this was happening. Like 8 months ago, I heard rumors like, oh yeah, next season, Doctor Who's going to break the fourth wall and he's going to find out he's a TV show. Now, the rumor wasn't exact, but it was close enough to now what we have seen, which is now making me wonder about all the other things that we've heard over the past months. And I'm now starting to wonder, like, are they the gods of Ragnarok? They might be.
They're not.
Well, we do have an item later on that very topic, Ryan. So that's going to be.
Just point. He's saying it's not. I will just point out, like, Zootech TARDIS. Yeah, and Russell will do what he wants to do, and we get to say.
Yeah, but that's why it's bad because Russell's doing whatever he wants to do. But it's the scene is a cope session. You're looking at it from the wrong lens. Like he's making it to make you mad, right? And you're getting mad when it's really hilarious because he's mad. That's why he put the Blinks jokes in. But then he goes on too long when the doctor music starts playing for no reason because these people aren't dying. He's ruining everything, right? He's ruining the tension he built up, the hilarity he built up, and then when they don't die, he's again just ruining everything. Like the landing's not sticking. But here's the headcanon cope, right? We're in a fantasy universe timeline where anything can happen. It's not sci-fi no more. We are in a fantasy show, and that's the Shooty Doctor 2 seasons, right? That's why it's crap. I think it's the fantasy TARDIS idea. Whenever that happened, that has to be this new timeline stuff. So that's why they're still alive. That's why all these gods, and that's why nothing makes sense because it doesn't have to.
Okay, well, I will keep trundling away. Problem being, good to see you. RTD2 is nothing but a parody that no one can take seriously. And if the writers can't take it seriously, why would the audience? And I just think it's a key moment. Now, I know Sean is coming in, but I will just keep trundling on, of course. And then I'll bring you in on this one, Sean. And, of course, you can add your finishing bit. It was Easter Saturday when we saw this episode, and it has caused some controversy. So before we really get to saying what we loved about it, it was this scene. I'll go larger for a moment. So you can see when our doctor was kind of there, caught in those, celluloid, trapped, because we were going to grab his Tinkerbell regeneration energy again. You know, that old chestnut. He loves it, doesn't he? It makes no sense to me, all this, so that you can just pull the vapor out. And as that was happening, As you can see, there he is, Han in there, and it's making the cartoon character, as you know, get bigger and more three-dimensional. That was the plot, wasn't it? The argument is, and I'll show you, because this was Easter, remember? Easter, that's what Bad Wolf put out. And of course, this is the outrage that some newspapers are picking up on. Some people will see that that was quite on the button, a crucifixion of the Doctor in visual symmetry, really. And as you can see, I won't read the whole article, but you can see some media's picked up on it. That really, are you going to show this on Easter Saturday? It's a bit too close, isn't it? An episode of Doctor Who is set to cause outrage by showing a sadomasochistic style torture scene with characters using inappropriate sexual language. Media watchdogs last night condemned the sixth part of the series, and they were on, that's Rose, and then they mentioned all the other ones as well. Right, what do you reckon?
Oh, what a load of bollocks! Like, I didn't even pick up on that.
No, you're not going to, because he didn't write it well. But it's all in there, because at the end of the episode, they also define the word God. So like it's all in there. It really is in there. It's not a joke.
Yes,
and it's
am I right?
Before?
Well, he's been Space Jesus before, and I hate it. I know, Sean. Come on, you want to come in? Go on, Sean.
No. Well, I've got my other points written down to make in a minute. No, that article you've just put up is about the Dalek episode with Eccleston. From what I've just scanned of it, it's not about this.
Yeah, that's the beginning of it, and then there has been arguments about the crucifixion of. Well, see, look, you can see what you can see on screen. Yeah. I was brought up a Catholic. I don't see everything through a Catholic lens. That's just what I did see that, and I thought, oh, that's a bit interesting. It's Easter Saturday, but I wasn't.
I feel like this is a bit of an. I think it's a bit of an overreach.
But no. Everything tonight you're saying is an overreaction. But what I also wanted to say is,
I'm not laughing at you guys. It just seemed like a really funny comment in the chat.
The end of the episode had a version, as Sonny said, of a resurrection, and it was Easter Saturday. I mean, it's undeniable. Look at the dialogue that the Mr. Ringerding used, and it did define God. So, Sean, I'm not overreacting, really. I'm not.
No. I meant like from the article there. That was ridiculous. That was a bit over the top. And for this, I think there are some times where you can read into something as far as you want. I've only watched it once. If I watched it back twice, I might see it a bit more. But I'm not religious. Some people are religious. If you're religious and you watch it, you might see it. I don't know. That's a bit of a dangerous one to get into. But I didn't see it. I thought it was more of a bit more bondagey, if I'm honest, especially when he gets dragged up the stairs, making no effort, like, no, let me go. It was a little bit.
Yeah, but Sean, why didn't you see it? Why didn't you see it? Because it's not well written.
No, I don't ask you. No, let's get it right, Sonny. I don't ask you why you saw it. I'm just giving you my opinion of what I watched. I don't ask you, well, why did you see it?
I didn't see it either, though. But that's fair, but I didn't see it either. I didn't see it.
However, all right, look, I'm enjoying the debate, and I'll just kind of pull it round a bit and see what everyone's thinking. Look, can I just put it out there? Although I'm the dinosaur on the panel, I don't sit there trying to pick fault with every blooming program on TV. I want to enjoy them. The thing is, knowing RTD slaves over every comma, bless him.
That's what said.
He's a glutton for his art. And knowing now that the media lovies like to label every blooming program on TV as trigger-free, and they want everything to be beautiful for us, can I just say, and by the way, there are religions out there that would find offense at anything that goes close to their religion. I'm just saying that looked pretty on the nose to me, a version of a crucifixion visual. Now, I wasn't saying ban the program or censor it, but then when you add the dialogue at the end, that what a God is, and he was light, and God is light, and God ascended, and really? On Easter Saturday? Go on, Ryan, first, and then Sean.
Well, two things. Number one, is it any more on the nose than what we got with the last Christmas special at the very end of the episode?
Exactly.
And also as well, Davis has done the whole Space Jesus before. I think it was a hell of a lot. It was more on the nose, and done worse at the end of season 3.
That don't
You
make
know,
this
whenever
good, but that
yeah,
doesn't make
and
this that doesn't make this good or better just because he did it before in the past. That just proves his point that this is a religious reference because he's been doing it the whole season.
I'm not saying that it's not a religious reference. I just didn't pick up on it.
I didn't either, but like
I didn't either.
it's there, and he makes a good point in that other religions would have took this further, and like Christians don't get offended about this stuff. You can comment on it, it's fine, but it's like this is actually part of the episode. This is the climax of the episode right here. So
Yep.
like you can't be like, oh, we're overreacting or it's not good or
Well, I
we
will just
can't
point
talk
out, though,
about it or we shouldn't talk about it because it's actually part of the episode. This is the DNA of the episode,
the
and
thing
it's
is,
bad at best.
when did a beam of light burst out of Jesus into a cartoon?
No, well, let me just bring in a few things. No, I'm going to take your comment and also Sean's. EOH editorial, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. But just before I bring in and answer that question, I'm bringing in Sean. Julie says, very true, Sonny. I kind of saw it but tried to ignore it. It was bad timing, but I expect he liked that. But then later on, as Lee Smith says, well, Gatware wasn't crucified. Mr. Ringer Din struck an arms outstretched pose outside the cinema. And as you're saying, Ryan, it's not a crucifixion because we know what a crucifixion is. This is just somebody hanging by celluloid. And
it's even the fact he's like that as well. It's not like he's stretched out like that. You know, like,
Yeah, because
oh,
he's scared. Because he's scared to make the real reference. It's fake symbolism. Like it's just bad writing. It's him being a hack. It's him. That's the plausible deniability he got to be like, oh, it's not really or whatever.
Well, remember, he wants everybody to turn away. I haven't got the quote tonight. I had it last week. One of the quotes from RTD is, I want you to turn away from the news, turn away from all the nasty politics, and have lovely safe space in Doctor Who. I'm just fascinated. I don't know who he thinks is watching because I assume if you are a practicing Christian, I just think some of the dialogue added to that is interesting. Now, before I bring Sean back in, I just want to bring the thread in. Unknown, it's so obvious and blatant. OT, this will be an ecumenical matter, if I can say it right. I know. Cybermat strikes Dan, our detox. So hopefully he spent the next 6 episodes leaning into regeneration. And because, of course, is this all to get us into the regeneration mood because he used some regeneration juice up, so to speak? John Yulden, no, this shows that he's writing a show with a view to insulting a large part of the UK audience. I wonder if he will do another religious belief next week and then have another go to go into hiding. You're right to point out, Ryan. You're so right. Joy to the world. I mean, the reference in the title, then obviously her becoming a star. And then when we saw, basically, you saw where the 3 wise men would be, didn't you?
I just remembered as well, David Tennant literally fought the devil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, like...
Okay.
Yeah,
then that was a good episode, too.
Also,
yeah,
is it okay then if it's a good episode?
Yeah. Well,
you're
just
less forgiving, aren't you?
Sean is desperately coming in, but I'm just going to let a Sunderland fan come in, which is, I mean, really? I'm not buying the Easter crucifix nonsense. Sorry, but I feel this is a reach. Okay. So he's giving me a yellow card, but, Sunderland fans at the moment just like to kick in Middlesbrough fans. Yeah. I agree with the other bad references, though. Come on, Sean.
No, I'm with him. I honestly am with him. I think we've had these before. But I genuinely think it might be, and this is, we've got to remember crucifixion was something used in history for hundreds of thousands of people. It wasn't just, and obviously, it's very, very important in Christianity. But I do think with this one, it's a bit of a reach. I think it might be a bit of scotoma, like people seeing what they want to see. Like, but that's the beauty of TV. You can watch, it and take from it exactly what you want. It didn't jump out to me, and I'm watching this with my podcast head on of like, right, what are they doing? What's this? I just didn't see it.
Can I just say, before Sonny comes in, I just want to say, because although he's changing my sexy as Cybermat strikes, cheers, happened at school all the time. If I had a religious priest at school, though, and we had a few, I always thought, why is a Catholic priest always dyslexic? He always called me Bernard. Cheeky devil. But anyway, Cybermat Strikes is saying Brendan normally likes these scenes usual, and you're all going, oh, aye. On the detox, we talked about Castrovalva and Adric being caught in that matrix of the master, remember? And he likes to take the mick and say Brendan likes that sort of thing. But, you know, that's where he's going there. Anyway, that's just a question. I'm here. I'm a teacher. I like to ask questions. Obviously, I'm overreaching. I'm an evil person.
Right.
So my other thing, though, before we really go cruising into it, though, is did you? I thought visually it was very clever. The frames and out of frames and the cartoon element and the 3-dimensional. I did think it was beautiful to look at, but did you like it regarding how it fits the narrative, everybody? You know, this, when they come out of the screen, when they hold the frames, when they burn the celluloid. Did you, I get it visually, did you think it worked?
No.
Nah, it was really lame.
Not really. Scott looked as though he's nodding.
Yeah. Obviously, when they came out screen, obviously, when they were just hovering, they were like, looked out, there's obviously nothing holding them up. Obviously, when they fell, I did like that because obviously, when people break out of screens, they have nothing to hold on to. They're like, oh, then they just fall. And I did like, obviously, it was like, oh, what's it called when the like the film squares. I
Yes.
did like that. Obviously, going like that. I did like that. But then obviously when they came out of screen, I did like and obviously they're like, okay, now we're back in reality. Everything's not like 2D. We're all back to normal now. I did like that bit. I did.
Anybody else on this meta way dealt with things? Happy with it? Think it's worth the risk?
Yet again, it was just my problem was it was a typical Russell T Davies thing of just wrapping everything up very neatly in the bow in the last 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and you actually had a really good villain there, Mr. Renadin. Like, come on, you have Alan Cumming voice him. Alan is brilliant. The animation was actually quite good. Finally, maybe as for maybe some of that Disney influences coming in. Still don't know where the rest of the money's going, mind you. But, you know, I actually really like Mr. Renadin as a villain, but
yes,
it could have been so much more. So much more. In fact, he could have been a returning villain, but, well, you never know. He might come back.
No. Robert Payne, if they are in the film, they are part of the celluloid, so would burn with it, not just pop out. It's all contrived nonsense. The thing is, we watch Doctor Who. He's in a police box that's bigger on the inside. We can cope with certain dramatic conceits as long as they've been established and built up what seems like in a rational piece of dialogue, etc. When things are rushed in one episode, I think that's the danger. And it's a shame because I do think this story was potentially a very good idea, but it needed episodes to world build and play it through. And when you rush anything, everyone goes, oh, really? It's just too neat. It's too neat. And I think that's always his danger. He needs to back off a bit, really, on this one, is my advice. But people in the margin, I'm using my language I used to write ages ago. The whole in the screen bit was pointless, says Mad Mackham. If they'd solved some of the mystery whilst animated, then it maybe would have been a reason. But as it was, just more tosh. I did start to think, you know, when we had the 2005 season 1, when RTD did all those interviews, he said the Big Ben sequence, that great model that was done when the Slovene ship hits it, he said that he always knew that was going to be in the trailer because he was going to show that Doctor Who's much better now. And so that ship hitting the clock face of Big Ben, even though it was in a story, it was always going to be in the trailer. And I got a sense with this episode that cartoon sequence was always going to be in the trailer to say, aren't we great? But once you've seen them in the trailer, so what? It didn't really help the story, did it?
No.
Well, the fact
like
is
nothing.
their bit was over in like 2 minutes. It's like, oh, we're cartoons. Oh, let's believe, you know, what? Let's just get less like cartoons, and it was like a 2-minute thing. They could have possibly done something interesting there, but yet again, didn't.
Yeah, story of the
I really
season,
enjoyed it,
like,
to be fair.
Yeah.
I love that
I
they
thought
take
this
it
was the
further, though, that's the thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, the execution's terrible. The landing's even worse. I think it was definitely. It was the first time in this whole series, including the specials, if you can call them special, with Tenet, where I thought, oh my god, they've actually got this right. They've used Disney's money and upscaled made it look beautiful. They've used the money in the right way. I quite liked it. I was quite engaged until 30 minutes in, but it was the first time I thought, oh, you've got it right. You've got the balance right, and then it all went a little bit
Yeah.
Pete Tong towards the end.
I was buying into
Shame.
it. This by generation moment. I still, you know me, everybody knows if you watched one of my streams. And by the way, if you have just joined us, like and subscribe. Come on, please click on your notifications and all that jazz and tell a friend. We're trying to build. But the bi-generation nonsense, it really grates on me. And it just made me think that, RTD loves to aggravate the fans. He loves to aggravate us all, doesn't he? He's always trying to do something like that.
It works.
And so, it works all right, I tell you. Let's have a look.
It will work better if the stuff actually related to the plot of the episode. Like, you can, as much as you can say whatever good scenes in this episode, you can cut over half of it because it just doesn't relate to the plot, and then actually do something cool, like show Mr. Ring-a-Ding antagonizing people.
Yeah.
Like actually animate something. I don't know. But
well, Sonny, I've actually got some footage from behind the scenes of RTD discussing why he had the bi-generation in, and it's amazing stuff. Here we go.
Bi-generation. It's a new thing. It's the 60th. Imagine how much fans love new things and will really rejoice when this happens. It's going to piss them off so much. Do you know, I've wanted to do this idea for years, man. I mean, it's just the whole idea of the Doctor simply turning into another person. That's so 1966. Honestly, my version is so much better. The Doctor literally just splits off from himself. And he's like a parasite. He's like, look, one Doctor, two Doctor. Oh, there's three Doctors and the other one's fucked off. And then I remember Julie came up to me back in 2006. She said, Russell, don't do it. Don't do it. Back then I had to listen to a woman, but now I was like, no. So I went ahead and did it. And you know what? I was delighted with the response. People turning off their televisions in droves. That's what I like to see. Now, where's that mythical audience I ordered?
You've killed Doctor Who, you see. Everything that Verity Lambert, Barry Letts and myself created, you've completely destroyed.
There you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
The truth is out. It's always out in the end. Sorry about that, everybody. But he's given so many interviews. So is that EOH editorial by generation RTD like a magpie attracted to things shiny and new without actually understanding why he wants to use them. Sonny is correct. God, it's so depressing. I find sometimes garbage. You only hire RTD to write one thing and one thing only, and it's not sci-fi. Yes, it's EastEnders on a planet called Earth. So everybody, here we go. Let's kind of charge through more of the items, so to speak. So I obviously call this story time when you've been champing at the bit to talk about the Lux story, and this is when we really kind of start to kind of let you say what you really thought of it as these under 35. So I suppose let's get you going, Scott. When you watched Lux, did you think it was a good story and it engaged you?
Yes, I think it was a lot better than obviously last season. But I think the only good episodes, in my opinion, for last season was what was it called? There was the Beatles episode, The Devil's Chord. I think because obviously I only like that because obviously found the Beatles. Obviously 73 Yards. I think they were the only my favorite two episodes from last season. Then obviously this season, between the Joy to the World and this episode, it's my rating so far for these three are the Robot Revolution. No, not tell I. Lux, the Robot Revolution, and George's World. I think RTD has looked at the reviews obviously for last season and said, okay, we need to push the reviews up, well, not reviews, but like everything up and make a very good story. And I think, in my opinion, I think it has done better than all the others he has for this episode.
When you were watching it, were you thinking, God, this is quite, I mean, you're walking into the cinema that plays the old film reels from outside, and it did go. They deliberately wanted to do the Scooby-Doo joke. So yes, is it a haunted cinema? But it wasn't, was it? The projectionist was there.
No.
I loved I just thought all that setup was a brilliant episode 1 and would have been in classic Who. An episode 1, and you can make a decision there, Scott, whether you think the end of episode 1 ends with they discover the lads, all the people from the cinema trapped in the celluloid, and then off to the music, end of part 1, or it could have been the Doctor and Belinda being turned into a cartoon. Whoa! And Mr. Ringerdin is never seen as a full cartoon till maybe part 3. That's how I would have seen that story being developed. I mean, did you see how this could be a brilliant classic, actually?
I think, also, we said, obviously, about if it was 4 parts, I would say that would have been actually quite good, the 4-part series. Then Lux out quite good, actually. I think also when they discovered in the film reels, I think that would have been end of part 1. Then I think end of part 2 would have been them going into the screen. Then I think I would have put the 3rd part, them all just in that, obviously just part 3 all animated. I think that would have been good. Then when they go obviously into the fans, Doctor Who, Doctor. I think that would have been the end of part 3. Then obviously the 4-part, or tell I obviously when Mr. Ringerding comes in 3D. I think that would have been the end of part 3.
And it just feels, I'm trying to prove the point, Scott, that I personally think, and I know Sonny's saying I'm leading you, but I'm an advocate for doing it the old-fashioned way. I am now. Sandy Cheeks here says, why even trap the cinema audience? If it's a brilliant concept, I do think it was really good. And the moment you saw that man go, brilliant, use it. That's why I thought it lent itself to a great cliffhanger. I mean, Ryan, could you see the possibilities in what this story was?
Oh, definitely. If anything, I think if it would have had the classic format of, say, 3 or 4 parts over 25 minutes each, this could have been a perfect classic story, I think Mr. Ringerdin had a lot of potential. Again, we're sort of in that weird limbo with Doctor Who at the minute, especially the last. Well, this episode's a very good example where they're doing very stupid things and then holding good things back. I want them to push things a little. I want them to push the good things more. I think they really could have made Mr. Ringerdin a hell of a lot more sinister and actually antagonizing people. But then there's other things that just don't make any bloody sense. I'm always in the opinion, what we need in 2025 is basically Philip Hinchcliffe 2.0 in Doctor Who. Yeah. So that's my opinion.
I mean, I'm just throwing this out, Sean. You can see the quote from RTD. Existing Doctor Who fans will come along for the ride. I was on the ride, Sean, for 20-odd minutes thinking, you've done it. You've got some nice cheeky jokes in. I liked some of the humor because it was clever meta. It was all right. You've mentioned one of them, Sonny, when I'm a 2D character. What do you expect? Backstory. I love all those. There's some great one-liners. And I, as an existing Doctor Who fan, was going along for the ride for this one. We all know the moment when a lot of us Doctor Who fans thought, no, I'm not going on that ride, RTD. Sean, Do you think though this story is exactly what Doctor Who fans wanted, and more to the point, do you think existing Doctor Who fans will have enjoyed the whole 43 minutes?
I don't know if anybody will have enjoyed the whole thing. I mean, like you said, there was some great lines in there. There was a bit where, because they keep it in the cinema. Obviously, that's probably more a monetary thing. But you have you have Mr. Ringading being like, I never should have learned perspective. That made me laugh. I thought, oh, this is actually, I was really surprised. I was all ready to come on and literally like wax lyrical about it and be like, this is the best episode I've seen in years. It was my first tweet out after watching it on the morning. Fans are always a way to let you down. Yeah, I thought that was really good. It really used it. There was some nice pastiches in there. I know not everyone's liked it, but the bit where the Doctor and Belinda, don't even know her name, Brenda, who's Brenda, became like cartoons. I thought that looked very Scooby-Doo. It looked very Hanna-Barbera. I thought it was good, and I thought, oh, this is the Doctor and Belinda were quite likable. I thought this is really good, and that one, I really liked the way that looked.
Hey, Sean.
And I thought, oh my god, yeah, mate, hello.
Where was all the love for the comedy during the fan scene, man?
Well, I just don't know why it was there.
Because it's funny episode.
It's hilarious.
You were laughing the whole time, and then you get to the fan scene, keep laughing.
Not when you bring the fans in, mate. Like
it's the fans were funny.
Contentious. It's like play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Someone should have said to RTD, no, you're not putting that scene in.
We've been playing.
Well, yeah, I know, but there's stupid games. Then there's even more stupid games. It's a race to the bottom at this point, Sonny.
Okay, so what's the problem? Laugh your way to the bottom, mate. That's all I'm saying. And we know the fans exist. Buddy. Scott was there, and he was there for the ride. He was having fun.
Go on, Ryan. What do you think?
Well, I'm sure his one viewing will do it sorted, but
okay, no, at least 2 million. At least 2 million. You gotta give him that. Look at the Robot Revolution. At least 2 million.
Well, what I'll do before Ryan...
Scott, how many TVs have you got?
Before Ryan comes in, I'll just show you this. Look, RTD also said, we all love puns in the show. We all love that. It's part of the language of the show, like the bogeymen who are actually bogies. And I've just shown examples where I think he landed it in this episode. Darn it, I was so big when I arrived. As Sean said, I've learnt perspective. That's it. You've acquired depth, that three-dimensional thing. I mean, there was some lovely stuff. But Ryan, I mean, I just think I saw an awful lot of people say afterwards that although they enjoyed some aspects of it, the setting, the this, the that, the other, they just thought RTD failed to land the story by the end.
I agree with that because I think for the majority of people very much have said we loved it up to a point. But yet again, that's nothing new for RTD. Like, he does tend to drop the ball quite a lot in the last 5 to 10 minutes of a lot of the stories. That's nothing new. As I said, though, like, I think there was some really, really great stuff here. I really did. Some things I was like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, for example, the people that were obviously the cinema goers that were all trapped in the celluloid. How did they all get out at the end?
Yeah.
Like, I maybe someone can explain that. Maybe I'm just not switched on, but I assumed that all of that would have got blew up.
Yeah, I know. How come some celluloid is blowing up the wall and part of the cinema so that to let the daylight in, but the celluloid that was just hanging there, because I assume the projectionist is dead.
Exactly.
But the celluloid with the 15, that's fine. I know. For every time you see this now, we all think of season 1 with the Doctor Dancers when everybody lives just for once, the Eccleston moment. And that was lovely, but I don't want it every week. I want death. I want mayhem. I want destruction. I want jeopardy.
One bit I actually really did like was never Mr. Renadin is threatening the projector with the flame, like the little cartoon. It was like, I'm basically going to burn your wife if you don't do your role. I actually thought that was quite good. I wanted more of that. I wanted more sinister, because anything sinister coming out of a cartoon character will work. It's good because it doesn't compute with your head that a cartoon character should be this sinister. I wanted them to push that further.
And as the problem being, I had a similar predicament with this. Madu Lee's good. He'll have watched all the reviews of it. He won't have watched the episode, but he's heard enough. If the ghost wife could hand him the bloody matches, why didn't she blow up the cinema instead of let them die? But my question was, I didn't understand. It was a bit like watching Ghost, but it was a blurring of the edges. He was basically, the projectionist was a prisoner, wasn't he, of Mr. Ringerding?
Yeah.
Mr. Ringerding had given him this comfort blanket of a film reel of his wife, who's now dead. So he's a prisoner forevermore because he loves to see his wife again and dance with her and touch her. Yeah. So I couldn't see why he would suddenly want to destroy all that and never see his wife again.
He's seeing his wife again. He's dead now.
Well, yeah, this religious element where the afterlife type thing. But then we saw on screen in that moment when the wife who normally dances with him suddenly gave him the matches. And why would she kill her own memory?
Well, he got to die so he can go with her. If she kills herself, then she doesn't go to heaven, because that doesn't count. It crosses it out. So, and then at the end of the day, RTD can't write anyway. So that's why we're doing fantasy. So he can connect any dots he wants. So you just have to accept the fact that Ring-a-Ding grows big. You just have to accept the fact that he can just pull the regeneration energy out of him.
Well, David Morrison here is telling us the predicament. I don't know which country you're in, David Morrison, but it feels like Brexit if you mention that at work. Problem is, I have friends who love it. I get scared to bring up my opinion. I think Brexit is an awkward word to use in Britain even now in certain workplaces. I think Doctor Who is, because you daren't say whether you liked a female doctor or not. You daren't say whether you like the shooty doctor or not, because so many people are ready to say something phobe to you. And you can't just say, I just don't like it. It's not the program I used to like. And then they'd say to you, you're a bigot. No, I am not. Am I on the right lines, David Morrison? Because that's how it feels sometimes. Mr. Squinty Mint, though, says it was a metaphor for letting go, and the catalyst was the jeopardy of two more people. I can buy into all that. I can. What I'm saying, Mr. Squinty Mint, is it's a shame RTD prefers the model of a very fast, concise episode rather than 4 episodes when you could have built in the seeds of that metaphor and built it up, and it would have actually had a bit more clarity, because I thought a great writer should always give clarity to what the hell is going on. Because what I said in my previous stream, lads, is if you were a casual viewer, a television viewer, and you thought, let's see what Doctor Who's up to, because I've seen all these trailers and marketing, and you watch this, I bet you the casual viewer for the first 20 minutes or so would have got, this is a bit interesting, Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. And then once the fans come out the screen, and once you had all this going on, and then you had the bi-generation mentioned, and you had all these other things going on, none of them explained. Suddenly the casual viewer will go, I don't know what's happening. I don't understand this. This program's not for me. It's gobbledygook.
I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on that, because I feel like this would have worked better as a season 1, episode 1 and season 1, episode 2 type of thing, where it put the pantheon of gods in the forefront. It put the regeneration stuff, Belinda's family and stuff, all of the actual plot elements were put to the forefront of this episode. It was just less than half the episode, so it's almost a good episode to watch and replace for season 1.
Yeah, it would have been better. Now there's 2 hands up. Ryan first, then Sean.
No, somebody's just made a very good point in the comments. Now this could be a dream scenario if this ever happened. The fact that Stephen Reese have now shut the door on Inside Number 9, the TV series, if you don't know what it is, they would be brilliant to be executives of a reboot of Doctor, to take over Doctor Who. Yeah. Dream scenario.
Yeah, well, and that's what you say. What do the thread think? I've seen that mentioned a couple of times, and they do. I mean, Inside Number 9 is dark. It's great.
It's dark. It's witty. It's clever. They would be bloody brilliant. I would just love to see them write an episode of Doctor Who. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, I buy into that. Have you come across this, Sonny, inside number 9?
I have no idea what this is.
I would highly recommend checking it out. It is brilliant.
Yeah, check it out, because it's classic British humor, but it's dark as well. And they go there. If you think they won't go there, they do all these skits on different things. It's very hard to describe, really, but
it's sort of like an anthology series.
Yeah. So there you go, Sean. You were going to come in, weren't you?
Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, there was one little bit before the fans bit that dragged me out of it. This episode reminded me a little bit of Whittaker's first series, in that I watched it and enjoyed it to a point, but it didn't feel like Doctor Who. You know, and it was the bit in this episode where they showed the clips of Sutek, the Maestro. I thought, oh, don't show me that. I was actually enjoying this. Don't remind me of that foulness.
Yeah. But that's what I mean, Sean, in a way, is it's very hard for casual viewers to access this. It was like they saw this toy maker for a second, they saw Jinx Monsoon, they saw this, they saw Bi-Generation Energy, they saw this blooming spoon, they had pantheons of gods mentioned, they had fans.
What is it with spoons, by the way?
Oh, don't ask me.
What is it with spoons?
I have nightmares of
what's going on with
like
spoons?
$5. It's cheap.
It keeps going back to Time and the Rani. I get really scared. But remember, it was the Empire of Death had that woman on that planet, and the whole...
Yeah, that's what I mean with the spoon.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The whole universe was being destroyed, and this woman had a spoon, and the Doctor put the spoon in his memory TARDIS, and suddenly everything happened. I'm just wondering if we're going to get some spooning. It'll be sexual. We'll have some spooning at the end of the series. Well, honestly, please, there's nothing.
I'm saying nothing.
Right, here's my question to you four. Here's my question. This is my plot hole of the week. Right, that spoon there, right? Has moonlight never before in the history of the universe, has moonlight never refracted off a metal surface and freed the god of light before? Was he waiting for... Why? The god of light surely could have found any refraction anywhere.
No, this is magical moonlight that goes through the universe and twists and turns, and it looks for spoons. And then when it hits the spoon, it goes into something interesting like a cartoon. Okay, you just have to turn your brain off and enjoy your Doctor Who. Yum, yum, yum. Spoon Doctor Who.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Scott, you're 20. I'm going to hold this against you. He's written this for you. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I think also on that picture, obviously there's the monk. That could easily reflect on that. It doesn't have to be a spoon. Like any metal surface or like any object can be reflective. It can, not just a spoon. Yeah, it looks nice. It looks nice and even new. But like that cup, obviously on the right hand side of it, that could have been.
But weren't you asking yourself, how come now in this cinema that bit of moonlight suddenly the god of light gets out when it could have been anywhere, anytime? Plus, do you know what, Scott? Have you realized that all these gods are crap? Because after 40 minutes, they're defeated. They're rubbish. They don't even last.
Yeah.
They don't last 4 episodes like the good old classic villains.
Yeah.
New Who villains and gods are rubbish.
I think if they didn't kill him, obviously, like what they did with Beep to Meep, they didn't kill him. They obviously the Wrath Warriors obviously brought them back to his ship. If that was like, if the toy maker got, actually the toy maker got trapped in his box thingy bob, I can't remember what it's called, the box thingy bob, I don't know. Yeah. And like if Maestro was trapped in what could be music, just say one of the Beatles albums, and they still have obviously toy maker, the Maestro, an album, and just say the Lux could be trapped in the I don't know what they're even called. The
film strip or something. But you're retconning stuff, man. None of that happened. You can't retcon that in and be like, it would have been better. It didn't happen.
Like, then, like, just say if Shooter did obviously 3 seasons, hopefully few more seasons, and they could bring back all of those gods together. They'd be like, so like one comes back in the first episode, one comes back mid-episode. No, in the first episode,
But would you
middle
want
of
this? Would
season
you
eight.
want this, Scott? Though I mean, honestly, gods have appeared thanks to a spoon. Gods have appeared because somebody hit a devil's cord. Oh, please! And once, done twice now, by the way. And as soon as that happens, 40 minutes later, they're defeated. They are rubbish gods.
I think it could have been a lot longer. Obviously, they reduced it to 45 minutes, or say 43, 44. I don't know nowadays. If it went up to obviously the normal time, 50 minutes, I think they could have put a lot more in for Lux, and obviously he would have been a more bigger villain than 43 minutes.
Sean, you want to come in?
Yeah, I mean, I know we're meant to be having a discussion, but it's just crap in it. Do you know, like, when you're trying to like,
Bye,
you're
everyone.
trying. We're all
Bye.
desperately trying. We're desperate. No, we are, aren't we? We're all desperately clinging and looking at bits and trying this and what about this? And I like this and I like that. And I know that bit didn't work for me. And you just think, you know what? It's crap. If your mate at work or wherever you are asked you about Doctor Who, is it worth watching, mate? You go, no, it's crap. And you'd probably use stronger words. It's not worth watching. Just save yourself the bother. I've watched it, so you don't have to.
Sean, you've fed the trolls now. Everyone will say, "Oh, the sense for you." You say you're talking sense, but yet again,
you held in there for an hour and 40.
Bring it on, and bring your spoons.
Oh, Sean, this is sabotage. He's Sean, who we all know has his podcast, Review It Yourself, and he sabotaged the sense for you, says the talk sense, to say we are Doctor Who haters. I was doing all right, but
just trying to enjoy the episode, mate.
Yeah, he's just sabotaged me. Now I'm stuffed. Oh God. So anyway, I've got more to go. Mrs. Flood, she was part of the episode. Are you starting to warm to this idea, lads, that we're building to a crescendo? Mrs. Flood is going to develop. Is it working? So as I go down the panel, you're the younger generation. Is him using this as part of the narrative arc? Is it appealing to you, Sonny?
Yeah, I like Mrs. Flood. She's actually my favorite character. I've seen 3 episodes only, and she's literally my favorite character. The May 24th bit isn't like doing it for me. That's not my favorite narrative arc of this show or even of this series, but she's literally my favorite character.
Okay. Ryan?
Honestly, I genuinely do not know. I really do not know, if I'm being really honest. It's going to be one. I hope she's a good villain by the end of this season, because it's going to be the last season of Doctor Who for quite a long time. So hopefully it's a good one.
Okay. Thanks for being concise, everyone, because we've got a few other items. Scott, yes or no? Are you enjoying the Mrs. Flood intrigue?
Yeah, she's. I really like her because she's mysterious, and I think that what Doctor actually needs, a mysterious character. I think because obviously last season was Sutek, people were like, okay, it's a bit going on and on. Then there's a big reveal at the end. Obviously they said, oh, Sutek's been hanging on to the TARDIS since the 70s. I'd be like, really? It's like it's a bit. I think that was a bit disappointing, but hopefully for Mrs. Flood, she becomes pop. Other people say she's the Rani because obviously Flood, Rain, Rani. But I was like, that would have been good because obviously they introduced the Master in Dame 10 and obviously who hadn't been seen since the movie.
The thing is, it's like, do we need another blooming Time Lord? But as I bring in Sean, now Sean, notice how I said the word concise because I've got other items. But Madam Ackerman here said, why was the god hanging around in Miami? He appears and kidnaps a lot of cliche characters and hangs around for no reasons for 5 months. Or just let it die. The question I saw, Sean, the other day, and it wasn't me, but I've said it on the other show, is why, if, for example, when the Doctor and Belinda got out of the fourth wall, yet they'd been in Miami in 1952, how come they ended up in a British lounge in the modern day? Hello, there's so many blooming questions. But Sean, are you liking this, Mrs. Flood? Yes or no?
I want her to be washed away. I genuinely don't care. I don't care. I just, who cares? Although, to be fair, from what Scott was saying earlier, I want RTD. RTD, listening, because this is perfect for this era of Doctor Who. Every time Mrs. Flood comes on, I want Mysterious Girl. I want to get close to you to play.
Oh my God.
So there you go.
You
That's what
know,
I want.
so the ratings are now tanking because I've got him blooming singing and saying we're Doctor Who haters. It is sabotage, lads. This is sabotage. Right. Utopia. Now, obviously on the item there is RTD delivering? When you saw Lux, is he delivering? Is he doing what he wants to do? And so I've got a few little things here. He said, I wanted a hero who felt more, no longer closed, all stiff upper lip. For all those young people who are fragile with their mental health. Now, I'm not going to ask you all about what's the state of your mental health, but is he the Doctor for you? Now, in this episode, as Sonny has quite rightly said now, and he did on our Who Night, the Doctor had a couple of key moments, and I thought some of them landed quite nicely. That racist, the racial discussion in the diner, I thought the Doctor did what most doctors would do. And it was almost stiff upper lip. This is what's so funny. That quote there says he's going to cry all the time or whatever. But actually he said, you just rise above it all, basically, didn't he? And you don't dwell on it. And I thought, that's brilliant. The Doctor has perspective. But then later on, he gets tearful over fans.
Fake fans, by the way, who didn't exist.
Yeah. Who, I don't know if he was crying because they all like Blink.
He was like, I had my foot on that landmine, and they didn't care.
I stood on a landmine for you.
I met the Beatles.
Yeah.
Right. I met the Beatles.
So, so my question is, obviously, is he the Doctor for you? Because you're the under 35s. And there were different moments in it. So, for example, you don't have to do a yes or no. You could say, well, that bit of the episode I thought was the Doctor, and that bit, you know, you can do it your way. So, Scott, where would you go on? Is the Doctor working for you? I know you've met Shooty, haven't you?
Yeah. Obviously, with his first season, I didn't think he was out of 100%. I think he was 50 with his first season. Then with his second season so far, I think when obviously he was in that obviously cafe or diner, obviously he said obviously about the segregation bit. Yeah. That did remind me of obviously Jodie Whittaker's obviously Rosa, obviously when obviously she had a obviously black companion. They went to the, if I can remember, it was 60s or 40s in obviously America, obviously with Rosa Parks. Obviously she rose up against all the staff, and obviously when obviously the woman dropped her glove, and obviously Wine picked it up, and he got slapped obviously for that. I did. Whenever I go back to Jodie's era, I do think that was not the peak, but like the well good bit. Obviously, the black companion.
Right. If I was RTD, or I took over and I got rid of RTD in a coup, and I was writing Doctor Who, God help you, and you were able to tell me, Scott, what do you want from the 16th Doctor? Let's pretend it's Shooty, though. What do you want from the Doctor? Do you want a Zygon inversion moment when he has a great speech? Some of us classic fans would say an arc in space moment. What do you want from the Doctor? Because some people have said Jodie Whittaker never had a Doctor-defining moment. So has Shooty had it, and was it in this episode?
That's what you said, obviously, about the speech. I think, obviously, every Doctor's had that speech. I can't remember what Jodie had. I can't remember
Nothing.
the lines.
Nothing.
Oh,
she didn't have
one.
No, she had an ice cream on top of the TARDIS with her girlfriend. That's what she had.
Not garbage.
Yeah.
I'm still quite socially awkward.
I've got cancer. Oh, get over it. You know,
I'm gonna pretend to listen to you now. Yeah.
I think obviously when a doc says, obviously when obviously Dame 10 episode Voyager of Dance, obviously when he said, "I'm the Doctor, I'm the Time Lord, I'm that was big. That was the Doctor speaking from the heart. I think Shooty does need that bit, but I think this episode, I think there was one bit, I have to watch it again. There was one bit he did feel like I'm the Doctor. But I think, in my opinion, it was the, in top of my head, I don't know if this was come to me. It was when, obviously, when they were leaving the
diner.
Doctor Who fans. It was, in my opinion.
And when he cried.
Also I think when the music came on, it did define like, okay, this is the Doctor now.
It's the
He's
Matt Smith.
leaving.
They cheat, Scott. They cheated. They used.
Yeah,
the
they
Matt
just
Smith music.
cheated for real.
Yeah.
That's so fake.
They were kind of
Yeah.
saying this is a Doctor moment because we've got the Matt Smith Doctor music to try and
Yeah,
just make it better.
Yeah.
And
I think
Well,
that did catfish us in a bit.
It did.
It
No,
did.
that's all it was, though.
Yeah.
And you just accepted it because they told you it was a Doctor moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
hold on, lads. I always stand corrected. Stephen Braddock says there was a good Jodie moment. She had a speech saying "Ecky thump, e by gum." That's it.
What?
I forgot now. Yes, yes,
What?
that great moment. Ah, yeah, I'm from Huddersfield. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, sorry. when you had Matt Smith say "I am the Doctor" in the 11th hour, and there was that moment, and he knew he was a Doctor. That was a great Doctor moment. But of course, for every one of them, you had her in Sheffield or whatever it was going, "Ah, yeah, I'm the Doctor. I've made a stick." You know, really? It didn't work for me. It didn't work.
Oh,
No gravitas at all. Sonny, I know you've said bits at the beginning, but obviously we can really develop this now.
Yeah.
Were there good Doctor moments in this episode? And was anyway, you go for it.
He had one real Doctor moment, and I wouldn't even say it counts as a defining moment, which was the racism bar scene where he says, "No, I just live in the world and I rise above it." That's the biggest shooty moment you're ever going to get. Everything else was hand-fisted. The Hope scene was a good one where he's like, the TARDIS inspires hope, but like that's not shooty. That's the TARDIS, and that's prior stuff, right?
Yeah.
They hand-fisted the music. Other than that, shooty has nothing. He's not my Doctor. After this episode, he might have got 1 point, so he's about a 3 out of 10, like the episode, a 4 out of 5. Or not 4 out of 5, 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5.
Yeah. Well, Ryan's champing at the bit, and then but Real Steve here says, well, there was the moment when he faced off with the fake, the New York copper.
Oh, yeah, that was good. That's two. That was good too.
There were moments. I have to say, Ryan. I mean, but did you see Doctor Who at last?
no. Quite frankly, no. Like, I will say, I did quite like that little moment in the cafe. I was like, okay. Yet again, that first 30 minutes, I was like,
it was
okay,
perfect.
this is actually
That
quite
scene was
good.
perfect.
But I would actually agree with Sonny on that one. He still hasn't had that defining moment where goes, okay, yeah, this guy is the Doctor. Jodie never had it either. And that was the one thing, that was my biggest complaint for Jodie's era, was she hasn't had that moment. And that's not her fault necessarily. No. It's not Jodie's fault. It's the writing, so.
Do you know why, Ryan? My theory is because I think the showrunners, Chibnall and RTD, are bored with the Doctor character. So you're quite right. Where is, as Peter Harrington says, the love, pride, hate, have you no emotions, sir moment? Where are they? Because it feels to me the showrunners are bored with those characters, so they don't give them the great lines, but they give some great lines or moments to the companions. Who saved, remember in the story, who saved this plot this week? It wasn't the Doctor, was it?
No, it never is. The Pye? I don't even know his name. I watched it twice.
Yeah, Reginald Pye.
He basically saved the day.
It's always a little human, isn't it? And that's it. Now, Sean, you want to come in? Obviously, you want to tell me that your channel's better than mine and there's something terrible about the set. No, go on.
I don't need to say it, Brennan. People know it's true. I'm joking. No, just going back to the shooty moments as the Doctor, I agree with Sonny. I thought that moment where he showed restraint, it was like the first time I thought, oh, there you go, shoot, he's got his Doctor moment, which Jodie never had. I've seen every episode she did. She never had it. But I also, to be fair, I was almost duped in his first episode, Church on Ruby Rose, when he's jumping over the rooftops. I liked it. I didn't realize he was going to say babes every episode and thought he was taking the mick of Ruby by going, who sees that and says, I'll jump on that babes. And I thought that was him taking the mick out of her. But I did really like, and I know this is going to take the mick out of me, the chat.
Here we go.
It was the bit when he was on the ladder and he let go with one hand and he went ta-da and he swung out and Murray Gold's music swung. I thought, that's quite doctory. I know. It sold it to me.
You gotta cheat though.
Sorry, I know.
You gotta cheat. He used the Maury Gold music. I seen that clip too. What you're talking about? I know exactly. What
No,
you're
but
talking about. I didn't
it's
like
the
it.
fifth.
I
It's
was
the
like, that's
15th Doctor's
dumb. He's a
theme, though.
ballerina now on the.
It's the
Like no.
I liked it. It's the 15th Doctor's theme, though. It's a new theme that Murray Gold did for Shooty's
Yeah.
Doctor.
No,
Yeah.
actually,
So I did like it, but again, I mean, I've
No, sorry,
a
I
month
actually
since.
forgot about that bit. Now, see if that would have been like a one-off, the whole Babes, but I actually do remember. I thought that was quite funny. Like, who runs it and thinks, "Oh, I'll jump on that Babes." I actually thought if that wouldn't have been a running thing, like calling everybody Babes, that I actually think that was quite funny.
Kinda Cool says
They've cut his legs off, haven't they?
giving Linus Roach such a small
his legs.
role was a waste of a very good actor. Olivia Colman, 11th Hour. There's so many times we go, really? But I was going to say before we move on from the Doctor moment, and I was a bit like, oh, please, not crying again. I missed it straight away, but then I did see that big tear for the fans. But my issue was, this was 1952. The Doctor was on the money when it came to the segregation, Belinda. You know, we're not allowed in a diner. And he was on it. He knew what the vibe was then, right? Classic Doctor. But then in 1952, in the cinema, when he was talking to a 1952 projectionist, he called him Babes. And he used all those affectations. And I thought, we all know what he would have been called. And I'm sorry, but while he's telling Belinda to be careful of the race angle, he wasn't. Come on, what man in 1952 America would have called another man Babes and thought he was not going to get a punch in the face? I mean, come on. Why does our Doctor have to go so stupid with this Babes, honey, darling, da? That I don't like that. The Doctor's never been like that.
Yeah, by that point, he dropped the race pretense, like the virtue signaling for race, like 20 minutes ago. Like he dropped that way long ago. So now he's just doing his hacky writing stuff. And it's gay. And that's just polarizing because he's making it an ideology. And that's why the story doesn't make sense because it's just gay. The beginning, he was being gay as like an acting trope, like that's just his personality, and it's like that's off-putting. Like people don't like that, and then it's like, okay,
yeah. I mean, you know, Sean, you keep saying I'm reading into things, but you know, hello, I'm adding them up. I'm totting them up.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, yeah, it's I mean, let's be honest. You talk how you want, respectfully to people, but you're not going to find that many blokes in England or America who say babes generally. And if you say that, fine, we've got no issue. But you're not gonna, you're not gonna find many men who say that now. In my personal opinion, maybe it's just the circles that I'm in. I don't know. But for me, it was a strange way of going on. I was pleasantly surprised. They kind of how well, is that the right word? How restrained RTD was, because when I heard about what this episode was going to be about, I thought, oh dear God. And I liked it. I thought they dealt with it. This is just personally me. From our point of view, I personally felt they dealt with it well. The bit where they landed and Shooty, because I can't think of his Doctor. The Doctor just looked at his hand and went, that type thing. This might be best we've landed at night type thing or something. I thought, oh, okay, they've actually, that's subtlety. I was shocked that they decided to use a bit of subtlety and go, yeah, we know we're addressing it, but we're not going to make it the be all and end all like the show used to do. I like that.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here, everybody. Sorry, I'll get to these pictures later, but I want to get to a certain point. All right. Just on our timings. I mean, I have to say, is it good that the Doctor says to Belinda, have you got a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or another friend? I mean, the Doctor was never asking this. Now, our sick bit item is when I ask the panel, the under 35s, children of time, RTD's favourites, I ask them, is there something really... Something they want to get off the chest, something that's making them nauseous, something that makes them want to vomit, something that is, it might not even be in looks, but something's going on in Doctor Who at the moment that's just bothering them. And so, you know, obviously we've called for their parents. They've been taken out of lessons. They can't watch any more Doctor Who at the moment. They're in the sick bay. So that's my example. So, you know, for example, although I'm not allowed in the sick bay because I'm the oldie, one of my examples is I just think it's another example of New Who being style over substance. and I'm getting
Yeah.
sick of it. Anyway, there you go. I'm not leading you. I'm giving you an example. There's a difference, Thread. So, Sonny, sick bay. Is there anything making you nauseous of wanting to vomit in present day Doctor Who?
I had 3 points. It is like style over substance though. Like it's too gay at the beginning. It was taking me out because of his acting. The doctor's too weak. Like he doesn't do anything or save anybody. And then the religious overtones is at the top for me at the sick bay. Just Easter Sunday, the crucifix like under symbolism, defining God, all of that is just pulling me out of the story. It's not in an interesting way like they did in Time Lash, where they introduced H.G. Wells and like that was cool, but like no, it's just preaching, and that just makes me vomit.
Did you just use
and I'm Christian.
Time Lash in the same sentence?
Yeah, well, I just watched Time Lash, and it reminded me, because when we were going through and chopping up the episode, and you guys was like, oh, it would be cool as a classic episode, only if they took that rock guy y'all was talking about, and he was like the H.G. Wells in Time Lash, and like he was part of the adventure, and at the end we learned, oh, that's the guy who's gonna die of AIDS or whatever.
I mean, I'll bring in Ryan now, because I know Ryan will have to go soon, but Dalek Lives Matters talks about an element of the Doctor and all the rest of it. But for example, another Ryan, when did the classic Doctor give a damn about what he wore really? And that moment in the TARDIS when they go and get changed and have a dance, and he said to Belinda, oh, this is the good bit. We get changed and we do cosplay. And I'm thinking, this is not Doctor Who. Traveling in history is not cosplay to the Doctor. It's serious. And how we're 9 and 52 where there's segregation. Let's go and dress up. I mean, please? Really? Anyway, what's your issue, Ryan?
It's something that's seriously missing is an actual, costume that he's wearing most of the time.
Yeah. But I wasn't, that was just my daft example. I don't want to lead you, but go on, Ryan. Is there anything that irritated you big time about that episode or about current day Doctor Who that we haven't mentioned?
Well, as I've said many times before, I just would like a little bit more scare in Doctor Who again. Like, as I said, I would be the advocate for basically having Philip Hinchcliffe style stories now. I think they would probably work a lot better in this sort of climate, making Doctor Who a little bit more scary. But that's just my opinion. But yet again, it doesn't matter. It's never going to happen. Because, as I will say again, enjoy the last season of Doctor Who for a long time. That's it. You're currently watching it.
Well, thanks for your contribution, Ryan, and I know you've got to dash off. So thank you for being on, and we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Not a problem. See you then.
See you later, Ryan. Now, just before I come to the rest of the panel, don't worry, I just want to bring in the thread a little bit because they've all been telling me what's bothering them because, we're in the sick bay, aren't we? That's the key thing here, what's bothering us. So Dalek Lives Matters mentioned what he said, problem being, who obviously it's been ironic in a way because, I'm gay as well, but I never asked for a gay doctor. So, as he says there, just that's what's bothering him. Let's have a look. Babette, hey, good to see you. It shouldn't be preachy. That's the issue for her. Farsight, the Doctor isn't the Doctor. The stories just aren't good enough and they're full of plot holes. That's what's making him sick. Kind of cool. Shutigawa isn't the Doctor. That's what takes me out of the story. He's playing a different character from our Doctor. That's what's got him in sickbay. Let's have a look. I've taken a few there. Well, I love the way, Mr. Squintymint would love a story where the resolution is ingenious and surprising because the plot resolution was told to them by the blooming fans.
It was an obvious Doctor Who plot.
Yeah. Sure. Stephen Braddock, that dressing up scene was pure kindergarten stuff. And this was my question to the three of you remaining in the thread. I honestly, come on, I was brought up with Green Death, Genesis of the Daleks, Ark in Space, Pyramids of Mars. I was a lucky little lad. Can I just say that present day Doctor Who, in essence, the reason it's getting me in the sick bay is I feel infantilized. I feel as though I'm being patronized. I feel as though he thinks I'm thick. When you watch Genesis of the Daleks, Pyramids of Mars, Ark in Space, there is no way they were patronizing the kids who were watching. Am I getting this wrong?
Go ahead, Scott. Tell us.
I think, in my opinion, the only things what have annoyed me since it started was obviously him saying "yeah, babes," and obviously when said obviously "yes, queen" at the start. That's where was it? I can't remember where it was now. I did was like, oh, it does get annoying, but like if there was like a more like another just say if a previous doctor or like another new doctor said something like that, you'd be like, oh, okay, it's a bit weird. Then, but if you said like, just say, I was like, obviously, someone might say to me like, "Oh, come on, lads." If the doctor said that to obviously just say a male companion, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." But if it's like it is a bit weird, obviously having a male doctor saying "yeah, babes" and "yes, queen" to a female companion. But in my time, I've only had one person say "yes, queen" to me, and I think obviously we were just like joking at that a bit, and that's the only time I've had someone say that. I was like, but it's a bit weird for a male to say to a female. That's in my opinion, yeah. That's just in my opinion.
It still is. And it's interesting. I'm 56, you're 20. There's a massive chasm in age, and we seem to be agreeing on that one. Sean, your thoughts?
I mean, I don't, I mean, Brendan calls me sweetie every time I see him. But to be fair for me, I'm joking. No, I mean, to be honest, I think it's less an issue of the language. I mean, because if this was a show that constantly updated itself and was more modern and that kind of thing, it would make sense. If it was set in the present day, if it was something that had ran for a long time, like Coronation Street, for example, I know it's a soap. Whereas this is Doctor Who, and it's about whether the Doctor would ever speak like that. And we know the Doctor has different regenerations, but they've changed the Doctor from something it wasn't. To be honest, I don't know how much of this is Shooty's issue. From little bits we've heard about the costume and about how he came into it. He can play different ways. Yeah. I don't know how successfully, because I've only seen it in Masters of the Air, and he's barely in it because they edited him out. But I think he could do it. I think if they told him to play it a little bit less like he's playing it now, a little bit, calm it down, because the episodes I've enjoyed the most with Shooty's Doctor are the ones where he's actually stood back and been a bit quieter and been a bit more, because he could do it. He's just too over the top.
He's not.
Yeah,
God and Bubbles.
When he kissed the dead guy in that weird spams. Oh, don't get me started. Terrible.
So there we go. Lee Smith was saying what gets him in the sick bay is this ascension element. Now, one of the final things I want to ask, you've already heard it mentioned. Are we leading to the gods of Ragnarok? Seeing those three fans, what do the thread think? What do the panel think? Now, let me just read these out and then we'll discuss it. And then the threefold deity of malice and mischief and misery. Malice, they hate the current episode as it's airing. Oh. Mischief, they tease the Doctor about their favourite episode. Blink. Misery, they know they're about to die. Then, of course, as soon as somebody tweets that, people say, no, they're not. The gods of Ragnarok wanted to be entertained by variety acts. Doctor Who fans specifically do not watch Britain's Got Talent as it's scheduled against them. So here we go. There's the argument. And then somebody else says, other than Sutek, all the gods are linked to a form of entertainment, games, music, film, and so exist to entertain the gods of Ragnarok. So, what do you think, folks? Thread and panel. Do you think we'll lead into the gods of Ragnarok? And maybe those three fans are more than you think. And that's maybe why we found the scene nauseating, because they're actually in for another reason. Just like Wild Blue Yonder, I thought was a waste of an episode, but it's there to plant all these blooming fantasy gods later on with the salt. So, Sonny, would you like it to be the gods of Ragnarok? Do you think it is the gods of Ragnarok?
I didn't think it was the gods of Ragnarok. I don't want it to be the gods of Ragnarok, but the three gods we got so far being related to entertainment does make sense. And we know RTD is such a hack. He doesn't care about the child, male, woman thing. He's just make it three people. Who cares, right? Fat woman, skinny. What do we get? I don't know. But so like, I wouldn't be shocked if it's the gods of Ragnarok, but I don't want it to be. I don't think that makes for good TV.
I mean, because also there's the skit, because in the greatest show in the galaxy, we had the satire on Doctor Who fans with the Whiz Kid. So yet again,
can I ask a
yeah, go on.
question? Sorry, can I ask a question? Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. The big thing for me, like the chat probably knows, I am really catching up on Classic Who. I've not seen a lot of it. I don't have a clue who the gods of Ragnarok are. Why, for a show that constantly talks about wanting this new mythical audience that clearly doesn't exist, of young people who've clearly never seen Classic Who, why did they keep introducing... Sutek didn't have a clue who he was. I don't know who half these people are. Like, how is this meant to connect?
It's an education
with this new audience.
He's educating you. No. Look, I know it's a good point, because I made the same point.
Send me to detention.
Yeah,
I want to hear Scott's answer.
Because I did, yeah, because I made that point earlier in a different way, didn't I, Sean? In the way that I'm saying a casual viewer, a lot of you didn't know Rock Hudson either. I mean, Scott, have you seen The Great Show in the Galaxy?
I've seen it. It's in my top 5 of Sylvester McCoy.
Right. So
it is.
Would you like it to be the gods of Ragnarok? Do you think it is?
Personally, I would not like to have the gods of Ragnarok. I would like to have, because I've heard people saying Mrs. Flood could be a god of stories. Yes. It could. Obviously, she's perhaps in every story, there'd be the god of stories. But like, if it was the gods of Ragnarok, I bet Russia would just like they change Sutek to a dog. It's like, really? Yeah. They'll probably change like the god of Ragnarok to like a Luke Cage. Probably. Like Luke's 8 bottle. They'll probably like make one Luke's 8 bottle, make one a water bottle. It's like why? The gods of water bottles.
Yeah.
Probably there is one coming out soon. Anyway, yeah, will be But I think personally, I would like to have Mrs. Flood as a god, because she's appearing in every episode. If she's the god of stories, that would make sense.
But if they make Doctor Who at the end of story, we might be in trouble. Mr. Squintyman says they showed a still of Greatest Show on Unleashed this week, which seemed quite arbitrary, but made me wonder if they'd sort it out for a later episode. Now, may I just say, since Freya are onto this, we did a review of the Greatest Show in the Galaxy recently, and the reason was very clear to me. I wanted us to have parked this. If you want to do some research, everybody, we did an analysis of the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Yes, spoiler alert, we had some problematic language. I said it was a mess, but that's just for the fun of it. But the point is, we looked at this episode, this classic story, in relation to season 2, because we know there's a theory out there, and we wanted to really look at the gods of Ragnarok. But the other thing is, they did have that whiz kid. So in the story that lots of people think is going to be referenced this season, you didn't just have the gods of Ragnarok, you had a satire on Doctor Who fans. I ask you, is this looking like we're leading to it? I just
didn't think of that, yeah.
I don't want it. I can see people in the third say, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
I think it's a bad idea, but like, all the lines are dotting up. So
it's interesting. We're Doctor Who fans. I'm pretending that although we're not even in the same country half the time, that we're doing that you would in a pub, and we're trying to get this worked out. Dead Man thinks, look, I doubt RTD could do the gods of Ragnarok.
That's why he's going to change them. He's going to make them a fat lady and another lady with a fez on. That's why.
Cybermat Strikes Dan, who obviously is on our detox at 1 p.m. on Friday, and he's going to be on the naughty step. He's going to be in detention. Brendan upset because he looked like WizKid. Do you know what? He's done an Adric reference about the mate, and he's slagged off Peladon tonight. That's the three strikes and you're out, Dan. Whoa, detention for you. Yeah. So, look, lads, I think we've discussed the episode in a different sort of way by Tuesday, because let's face it, everybody's discussed it to death. Is there anything I've missed out that you want to say before we finish the stream, Scott, about looks that we haven't mentioned yet that you think is worth commenting on, to be fair? Because I have to let you youngsters, you snowflakes, I have to let you be fair. The answer's nothing. You see, this is it.
I can't think of anything now.
If you think of something in a minute, come back to us. Sonny, is there anything we haven't said in our 2 streams?
No, I would just emphasize, like, if season 1, if every episode's a 1 out of 10, Lux is about a 4 or a 3 out of 10, right? And I don't believe making it a classic episode would have made it better, because you would have to overhaul the whole plot. I think this would have worked great as a 45-minute episode, but you focus on the plot. Like if Matt Smith was playing the Doctor, we would be like, this is a classic episode, this is so fun, because Matt Smith would tear this script up, right? But like if we reorganized the plot, took out the stuff that doesn't add, and actually do something with the time, this would be a good episode. But that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, and Philip says here, RTD should have little Easter eggs for older fans, old crones like me. And don't go strong with connecting to old Who for new fans. Definitely no Gods of Ragnarok. Easter eggs was a term, obviously, I discovered a few years ago because I'm old. And Easter eggs, I'm thinking, why even put them in? I don't need any Easter eggs. I don't even know they were called Easter eggs for ages. So there's that, just get on with a good story, for God's sake. I don't need Easter eggs, and sometimes it won't even be Easter. Shall we get to Sean, who's going to be so concise, because you know him, him and his rubbish channel, Review It Yourself, and because they're just natter on and all this crap, He's had so many digs tonight, honestly. So, Sean, are you there? Are you streaming? Are you trying to plan another review? Are you there?
I'm not telling you. Put your cane away, Mr. Noble. Well, to quote Dr. McCoy, speaking of Doctor Who, he's dead, Jim. That's all I've got to say. This show is absolutely finished, and the people who think it isn't, you're kidding yourselves. Like, if this gets an extra series, Brendan will get some content, and we'll look forward to seeing how low it can go. But this show's finished. Absolutely finished.
Oh, what a shame. And yet, I think the consensus of most fans out there,
a bit like my career on the Sensphere.
Yeah, the most for the first 20 to 25 minutes, I think the consensus is most of us thought it was going to land. It was all right. Then we had obviously the famous moment when he broke the fourth wall. I think with all the consensuses that Mr. Ringerding was a great addition, a great villain, underused. And if you're going to do all that amazing animation, I loved it. Just use it properly. So it just seemed to me, and then of course we went into the hocus pocus stuff again. So yeah. Now, Sonny, you obviously have your channel, don't you?
Oh yeah. Still posting shorts. I'm gonna do some comic book content this week. Just a couple of shorts talking about different comic books in America that I like.
Right, and as I come to Sean, who's going to have to yawn, tell me about his channel, EOH editorial. As Sean is a fan of the West Wind, wash your mouth out, Brendan. Oh, I think when you have teacher here, Sean and EOH, I'm never going to have sat together in the class. No way. I'm going to have them really separated. Sean, here you come.
Yeah, cheers for having me on again. Yeah, I do the I do the Review It Yourself. It's a podcast. We do films. There's quite a bit of Doctor Who on there. And yeah, it's basically just me and my co-host Sarah waffling on without somebody like Brendan to cut us off. So yeah, it's entertaining. And Sarah likes a good whinge just as much as I do. So yeah, the best place to get that is wherever you get your podcasts. I need to sort the YouTube out, to be fair. I'm not generally, it doesn't update as much on there, but yeah, go over and check it out. And it's swearier as well than on here.
You see,
I need to be careful.
Yeah, I'm vicious, aren't I? No, so everybody, look, I think the next time I'm on is tomorrow, doing a little saloon. That's just with me. Oh, shocking. And then obviously on Friday, the detox at 1 p.m, where we do try and go heavier on the nostalgia as well, just to be fair. And then we're back into the circuit with Sunny Who Night. And then we have the Sunday one. Yeah, we're back in the loop again. It never stops. But thanks, everybody. You've been very lively in the thread tonight because we're talking Doctor Who. And of course, on this channel, we talk sense, make sense. Sometimes it's about nonsense, but underlying it, I think there's some common sense. So, everybody, thanks for being on, Sunny.
Oh, yeah. Captain Sunny Waffles. That's how I do it. Tell him the truth.
The truth to power. Thanks for coming on again, Scott.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
One day you won't be allowed on this panel because you'll be too old.
I know, you'll have to, yeah.
I'll be dead. And then, Sean, thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Brennan. Always a pleasure. Never a chore.
There you go. So, thank you. And as Garbage says, our great moderator there, please subscribe. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. Tell a friend. Spread the word. Cheers. Bye for now, everybody. Bye.